just one of the classes I have are seniors, and you can tell that senioritis is.
Christmas vacations.
Especially there's this group of boys that you can tell are athletes. They're involved in whatever sports, and you can tell that they're like, so like, just done.
You know, it also kicks in 8th grade when you're leaving a middle school. And when you're, whatever the exit grade is at elementary school, it's the same thing. It's not as extreme.
That's good.
Right.
It's not as extreme, but it
Thank-
definitely
I
kicks
think
in.
we'll be good. Let me plug in my.
And the teacher is very patient, the classroom teacher, because I'm sure she goes through it every single year.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
June to the rescue.
Thank you, June. You saved me. Who's up first?
Kristen is there.
You are second, but if you want, what's the? You're second after Kathy. You guys could rock, paper, scissors for it if you'd like. Okay. If that is okay with the chair. All right, so we'll pull up with the assessor's budget first. If that, I'll get that queued up for you.
And Kristen, I will need names because I'm not as familiar with
Absolutely.
personnel.
No, I'm not sharing. Do I have to share? I don't like to share. Okay,
I wish you
I'll share. All right. We'll wait till we open and then I'll share.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be right behind me. I picked a bad day to try and get my dog license. Got here early just to do nothing.
Is it like?
I can
last
give you
day
the
to get
names
it
now.
before the
Yes,
last
please.
day?
No, it just said,
Linda Barisha, Berisha, is the assessor.
PERISHA, and that is
The assessor.
assessor, head assessor with official.
Principal, is your title principal assessor? Director of assessing, excuse me.
Gotta get the title right.
You do, and it's different everywhere. Yep. Yes,
Probably.
I did have a split.
And the second name,
Kathy Murphy,
K with our C,
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 MURPHY,
title.
treasurer collector. And I don't know if you know Miss June over here, who's gonna be presenting the accounting budget.
You look familiar.
You can spell your own name because you have a microphone.
Poland, like the country
Like the
or the water.
Oh, that's good.
How's that?
Very good. That's perfect.
Since I'm still working as the volunteer keeper of the
And we
minutes,
thank you for that, Cliff.
temporary.
all right, are we ready?
We are ready.
I call to order Berlin Finance Committee. Open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice will be recorded. So the quick first item of business is the minutes for last week. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve them as submitted.
I second it.
All right, any other discussion on that? All set? Okay, roll call, Scott, aye.
Mary, I.
Heidi, I.
Cliff, I.
All right, minutes approved 4-0.
You want to do the minutes for Monday night?
Did you have them there?
I set
I'll have
them.
to apologize. I have not read them, but there's probably not much to them, right?
No, they were extremely succinct.
Let me just look just to say I've looked. Good to me. Okay, so we have a motion for Monday's minutes.
I move that we approve them.
Okay,
I second it.
all right, any other discussion? Okay, roll call, Scott, aye.
There we are.
Heidi, I.
Oh, Cliff, I.
All right, so
Right.
the minutes of 324. Okay. The first item of business is whoever is chosen, whoever won the
One,
Contest?
the rock, paper, scissors. I believe that was Linda Barisha, who is our Director of Assessing. If you give me a moment, I will share the budget screen as Roger requested for all those viewing online. And let me just move this out of the way. Let's see. Go down there. Okay, you are up.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
This year should be easier.
This is actually pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Oh,
Wasn't bad.
No, it was not.
For us.
Besides the COLA, 2%, there is nothing that I changed in the overall budget. There is a decrease for $275. I had a expense. We used to pay the Registry of Deeds for some reports and deeds, so we contacted them and then I removed it because we can go and print deeds every day free online. So I managed to save there. And the other services was we don't need that much of the like supplies, office supplies, so we managed to save a little bit. Other than that, everything else stays the same as the previous year. I did not have no increase in the other contracts, which is my CAMA database, my GIS, my mapping services. This is the 2% for the assessing department approved at the town meeting. This is the board and my position. And this is for my 2 part-time, my admin and my property lister.
And the rest are just copies of your contracts that have not changed.
Correct.
That is it?
Yeah.
That is it.
I think that's why she won
Okay.
the toss.
Are we doing anything with Rebel or no?
Oh, reval is worked into your budget, but you also have a standalone special article for the 55,000.
Correct, and that was approved last year. So the reval $55,000 was approved last year, which technically I am in reval this year. So once we're done around June, they're gonna start sending us the invoices. Yeah, that was a special article
But
in
you-
the town meeting.
You do have, I believe, there's 10,000 every year. We moved that. That used to be a separate budget. And last year we moved that 10,000 evaluation line item that was like a separate department into your budget, if I'm remembering correctly. The separate
I-
line, like, wasn't it a separate budget line item for a while?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, so yes,
And it's still in your budget. We're not taking it back out. So
No,
you
it's-
just have that one department budget.
yeah, that is, I believe when June gives me the report, so that's my budget and the reval, it's, yes, you're correct.
Perfect.
It was very exciting to hear. Thank you for your work.
She's not here to answer revenue questions,
Yeah.
is she? Not at the moment.
So, do you have any questions of?
Valuation questions perhaps, not
Valuation.
revenue specifically.
There you go. Just got
I
clarified
don't-
for
Well,
you.
yeah, but I don't know if I can formulate a question. I'm still downstairs in the rail trail feasibility thing, so I get myself into.
I might be able to
Thanks.
answer it for you later. If not, I can always get it over to Linda and we can have it back for you in an email.
Well, no, it's kind of, where are we status wise in terms of building the budget and that piece
So she
feeding
just.
into the revenue? That's really what I was grappling to ask.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's,
So Linda gives me really two very key figures for the budget. One is new growth and the other is the assessor's overlay. So
Right,
she has
okay.
given me both of those figures.
that's right. We've seen those.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
200,000, which you're still watching, but right now that's the number you have said you feel comfortable going with, given that new growth is pretty stagnant
Yep.
in the town. And then we did have some good news on the assessor's overlay. I had estimated 225,000, but we do have leftover money from other years, and so we're gonna go with 215. So there's a $10,000 savings there.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get to that new growth because I have around 40 abatements. And doesn't really look very well. I have Sears and the mall filed again. And we had a settlement last year. So I don't know how that's gonna go if we will sit down with the board and discuss it. My opinion is that we should deny it because we settled. And there's an override, but they are questioning the value. Again, they're saying it's overvalued and they want it lower, which that's going to impact significantly, like the values. And if we go ahead and deny it, then I have a feeling that we will have an ATV case, which I would end up spending some money as well.
How much percentage wise is even left of their valuation? I know like the whole mall was listed, I know I was reading online that like as in 2012, it was valued about 200 million. And after the or basically the agreement earlier last year, brought it down to just under 30 million. So, I mean, that's the whole mall. I don't know if Sears is completely separate from that piece.
Correct.
And I mean, you're what, 86% reduction of valuation, just from the mall. How much has like Sears come down already? I mean, is there much? I mean, obviously they would like to have it valued at zero. But I mean, is there much left of their valuation?
So basically, there was a settlement between that it went on for 3 years, 21, 22, and 23. It was between Marlboro and us. So we reached a settlement to a 26 million for the mall.
Okay.
Last year. So that's the 26 million was for 24 and 25. Sears, we reached a settlement for 7 million.
Okay,
And then we agreed.
do you know
and,
what there was, the settlement from, what was it before, do you recall?
No, it was a litigation process for 3 years. They couldn't settle. They just were
Right,
going
but
back
what
and
was the
forth.
valuation that we had put on that had it? I mean, the valuation was settled at 7 million, right?
That's the settlement.
Okay,
But the
that's,
valuation was different, correct?
oh, the settlement was the dollar amount of what to collected tax.
7 million in assessed value. I would have to do the math
Well,
for
okay,
the dollar.
Right, the
because-
valuation
yeah.
was 7 million.
That's a
No.
reduction. That was the reduction, right?
No, that's the settlement, that's the reduction for 7 million, but the valuation was different, but the value,
Oh,
I,
it's reduced by 7 million, the
Correct.
valuation, okay.
so I'm sorry if I'm using these legal terms, settlement is when you reach an agreement to have a specific like the value numbers. That's
Right,
what
I was
we
just
said.
curious to what the
Yeah.
value number was, I thought.
Yeah, no,
The way
it
you
was,
said
it
I
was
thought it was-
higher and
okay,
then that
it was
was
reduced by
the,
7 million.
and it is at 7 million, but they want it lower.
And I think you're asking how much value
Well,
what
well,
it's
yeah,
valued at
seven, like,
now.
Yeah, it was
7,
7 million.
Because we
was-
had the settlement last year,
Oh,
so.
it wasn't
It wa-
14
it
and
was
now it's
14,
7.
now-
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay,
That was what was.
Yeah, at the moment.
It's all seven.
That's two
Yeah.
different numbers.
Yeah,
Okay, so
so-
it was 14 million valuation, they reduced it by half. In the agreement was to 7 million. And I know they've been in there for I mean, this isn't the first time that they've been reduced.
Yeah, they're claiming then it's basically they're not using the space.
If I'm not using my attic, I can say I'm not using that. I mean, what? Yeah, I understand, but.
I think one of the challenges is the 3 anchor stores, and I think we've talked about this before, but they are owned not by the mall, but by those individual companies. They also own their associated parking areas, which I learned not too long ago. So there's only so much that mall management can even do because the companies can hold on to those buildings in vacancy for as long as they want until they get the price that they want for them. So I think that's been the challenge. I have heard that, Sears in particular wants well over $1 million. And so it's.
They want over 1 million in purchase for theirs.
Yes.
And of course, we're valuing it at 7 million.
The whole mall.
No, okay, wait. I thought we were saying that Sears went from 14 million valuation to 7. The whole mall is at 26 million.
Correct, so
Oh.
there's 2 different, yeah,
Sorry, I misspoke.
that's okay. No, that's fine, no worries, it's a little bit confusing. We had 2, so Sears, apparently it's not associated with the mall,
Right.
based on my understanding, so Sears, and it's a different parcel.
Yes.
Right.
It's
So
its own-
Sears filed on their own, while Mall filed on their own, so it's 2 different cases.
So Linda, the 26 million with the mall, is that the amount reduced or is that the assessment
That is the amount reduced.
amount reduced?
When we decided to
Okay.
go ahead with the settlement, that's what we had to go.
Mhm.
So each year we had to, I can bring the paperwork if you all want, and I can show you each year how much money we had to abate and give them back for 21, 22, and 23. I specifically only remember that 23, that it's 26 million, because they wanted certain amount in each year.
That was the reduction. 26 million is the amount of the reduction of the valuation.
Correct, so the valuation was at 30 million
It was
for
at
all
30.
this, so yes, they wanted a 26 million, so going back and forth with the ATB, that the settlement that we reach is that the mall will be valued at 26 million.
Okay, and that was a reduction of 4 million.
Correct,
Okay.
And Sears was the 14 down to 7.
correct.
And can I ask about the 26 million? Is that for the whole mall or the part that's in Berlin? I just.
That is only the part that it's on Berlin, because the one for the mall, it was between Berlin and Marlboro, so we both, me and I believe John, we had to settle, so it was, yeah, this is only for the Berlin part.
Is J.C. Penney in Berlin?
No.
No?
that's
Okay.
all, well,
I think we have the movie theater and Sears. Is that
Yeah,
about
those
it?
are the 2 big
Yeah.
ones, and kind of
So-
like what's on that side.
So Linda, some of these details are, I think maybe they are important, but for us as the finance committee with the public, to the extent they want to participate in our review of these things, I think it's really important for the public to understand the impact of the changes around Solomon Pond Mall that we go to court to try to keep the valuation so that we have that tax revenue coming, but you can't win every case, especially with the condition of traffic at the mall, if you will,
Yes, correct.
and bankruptcy and Sears bankruptcy and so on. It's hard.
Yeah, but also, we had, last year was a tough year. We had a couple of residential as well that they basically went to an ATB and they won.
Mm.
Yes,
On abatements,
correct.
yeah.
And this year, there are quite some abatements. I went in the field the last 2-3 days, actually, today and I did some changes. Let's see. It's a little bit frustrated for the taxpayers, but I believe we should educate and they should participate more because we as a finance team, we know the numbers, and I believe there are some changes to be made. I have 7 parcels that they filed for an abatement to reduce the value of 325. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
But I believe it's gonna be complicated because they're trying to get a subdivision. So I don't know.
I just wanted to go back to the million for a second. I'm gonna double check with Liz. I'm thinking that in my momentarily befuddled brain, what she must have said was that they were holding out for $1 million more than they were offered.
Probably.
Because that doesn't make sense, as I was saying that, so, yeah.
Yeah, I was
sorry
gonna
about
say, I
that.
hope if they were, well, try to get $1 million and we're still
Yeah.
valued at 7 million. like,
That would be a
our-
bargain.
Our case does not look very good.
No, no,
but,
no.
uh,
I think I heard that wrong.
I'm
so
also
I'll check-
curious
I'll
to
check.
probably look back further. I mean, you're limited in what you get online, but I know there was earlier this year, you could go online, I guess it was more or less like the real estate, or commercial real estate. They described as the mall, again, who knows how that breakdown was, but they had said, they had made the comparison then, again, who knows what they described as the mall. But they described it as the valuation in 2012 was 200 million. And this was from reporting like in May of last year, that it would now have valuation 29 million. Of course, obviously that doesn't make sense with what we just heard here, that just the Berlin side of the mall is 26 million. I doubt you're saying the Marlboro side is valued at only 3 million, because that would make sense. So clearly, I think some reporting online about this stuff is
A
inaccurate.
little off, right, because they have 2 large anchor
Well,
stores.
a lot
now.
off,
Yeah.
actually. So maybe we can look, get more.
I mean, if you want, I can look at the settlements because when the settlements were sent, they were sent to both of us, to us and to Marlboro. So I have the letters. Of course, I focused only on for Berlin because
Yeah,
that's
sure.
my town. So I can look at the numbers and see. I believe we're kind of very near when it comes to the amount, but I can double check.
Yeah, if you can double check on that, 'cause
Yeah.
one of the things that I'd like to get a handle on, just kind of like what was reported about the valuation, saying it went from 200 to under 30 million. I mean, obviously, we've seen this massive shift of, I mean, there's a valuation just residential, going crazy, but no, the retail commercial devaluation is kind of ridiculous. But there's only a certain point that you only have so much exposure left, right? I mean, once you get to, obviously, not to get to zero, but there's a difference between if it was at 200 million and you're down to like 50 million valuation, there's a lot less impact or future impact that can come to the town, because unfortunately we've suffered most of the bleeding has already happened.
It's like, how low can you go at some
Well,
point? Now
yes.
your losses are smaller as you continue to devalue because there's less overall value to begin with.
Right. I was just, kind of curious, we could see what that valuation has gone, how much has happened, maybe, I mean, even if you could see, I don't know if you have the record, you can see like, what was the valuation 10 years ago? And where is it today, just so we can get an idea of how much percentage wise do we, if
Yeah.
we've gone through almost all the pain, well, not all the pain, but most of the pain is behind us because there's just not as much left. It'd be good to know.
Yeah, I can go on the database for 10 years and just write every year what was.
Because I
the-
think like Mary and Scott are pointing out that we have to tell a story about the budget. It's not just numbers. There's a story why it's the way it is. And one of the factors in the story is the devaluation of what was a resource to the community. And therefore, the property tax on individual homes becomes more burdensome because we've lost that income. So the story is important. And So I think that information is important.
Yeah, to underscore that, Cliff, it's not just a story of the town spending, it's also a story of the town revenues.
Yes.
And I can assure you, Scott, others, that Linda is tough on abatements. Personal experience, okay? Personal experience. But
She does her job.
Okay,
very
Mary,
But-
okay.
I'm okay now, but
Only for
totally
one.
rational. Right, you can have a conversation totally rational, so I want to give a good shout out, so anybody else that's approaching this, she's gonna be tough. Tough but fair, do you like that?
I like that.
All right, and sorry to open that whole can of worms, but it is, you know, your budget is nice, but that part is really interesting.
To the finance committee.
To the
because of-
finance committee,
Because of what we
yes.
have to do.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I understand. Me, June, Kathy, Kristen, we sit down and work on the numbers and we get
Yeah.
it. It's just that, I think we need a change also in the town with some zoning, and I strongly believe that. Because I have sometimes contractors or different companies that they ask me for certain things, but then when I look at the zoning, they go somewhere else. If you want to offset a little bit that burden. Because I do believe that the value of the mall, it's not going to increase. And it's not just the town of Berlin, it's the whole stretch of 495. When I go to the training and to the different, like, we have different assessment that we can go in classes. Most of the towns that are in that stretch, they're kind of suffering less, but some of them, they converted to apartments. I believe in Lowell, I heard that they converted to a casino.
Oh,
Interesting.
Casino in Berlin. How well do you think that would go over?
well, I don't know, but it
I was
might
just
not help
hoping.
us with tax revenues.
Can we start with a drive-through?
Ease them into it.
Please.
Okay. Any other-
I don't have any other questions, thank you.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. I will make sure I will send those.
Sure.
Thank you.
That'll be good reading.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, just forward it to Kristen, she'll get it down.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Wow. Run away while you
That
can.
was a resounding endorsement. All right, give me just a moment to pull up your budget. All right. So this is slightly revised. Kathy and I worked on this earlier this week. Oh, thank you. I know I always forget the share part. I'm trying to talk and do technology, and sometimes it doesn't all come together. Hold on, now this is hiding down here, so, oh, where did it go? Okay. Sure. All right, take it away, Kathy.
Okay, my salaries have just changed by the COLA, so there's no change there. We combined it under salary instead of having full-time wages. For the assistant treasurer collector, he's under salary now. So that's that.
It was always a salaried position, we just weren't capturing it that
Yeah.
way in the budget, so. It makes sense to put it where it actually belongs,
Mhm.
that was the idea
I
there,
like logic.
I tried.
So my expenses,
Oh, sorry,
That's
hold
okay.
on. Trying to move this out of the way so that it's not, okay, there we go.
my expenses have changed due to contractual. Also postage has gone up. Our paper for our office supplies has gone up as well because bank statements were never printed before and we need to have those printed for a record. So we're going through more paper. Also, there was a unemployment service from Maya, which is $1,000, which we never had before. And now they're going to be charging that. Kristen can speak to that more
Yeah, they gave it to us for free for several years. So Maya partnered with UTMC, which don't ask me what it stands for, something related to tax management.
Unemployment. yeah,
Unemployment, thank you,
Yep.
unemployment tax management. And so they notified us very kindly about a month ago that they would now start charging for this service. And it's based on an employee per employee cost, which works out to about $1,000 a year for us. So I've actually reached out to them because I want to further understand exactly what this service entails, since the town has to respond to any unemployment claims with a significant amount of
Yes.
information, and there is a burden on the town that obviously no other entity could provide that information. So trying to get a little bit more info on what they're doing for us for
Is-
this $1,000.
Is that UNT, that's not a state function, is it? It's a private,
Unemployment
Unemployment Tax Management
corporation.
Corporation, I think.
So they will send us an email saying they have someone applying for unemployment, and we have to go in and check to make sure it's fraud or not fraud,
okay.
and then
okay.
state why we are fighting the case.
Uh-huh.
Or not fighting, simple as someone doing tax work off for like the town clerk.
Oh, sure,
Those
sure.
aren't employment cases. We have to make sure that we're coding them right and that we're
Yeah.
making sure we're not getting
Yeah.
charged for them.
But this entity, this, whatever this corporation, is it, do you know, is it a state entity? Is it under, or is it private?
I think it's
I
I think
thought
it's
it,
part of the state.
yeah, I thought that it was a governmental
Yep.
entity that consolidated with Maya, who does our insurance.
Uh-huh.
And so they've now co-offered this service, but like I said, I reached out to get some more info,
Do you
so.
think they handle the reserve for payment of claims? Is that part of it? As
Yeah.
opposed to being self-insured,
Well,
they do. it?
there's two different ways, and either way, they could be covering us because we are self-insured.
Yep.
And I actually had a really good conversation with Maya a few weeks back, and they were going to look at our claims and see there's sort of a threshold where it makes sense to stay self-insured, and over that threshold, it makes
Mhm.
sense to do it the other way. So I do have them checking that out
Yeah.
for us, but our claims have been pretty low,
Minimal.
and we'll talk about it when we get to the unemployment budget, but I
Okay.
feel that we can actually reduce that budget based on the conversation that I had with our rep at Maya. So.
Yep.
Thank you.
Let's
Well,
see.
and just going back to the unemployment piece of that, because that was my question, because I thought we were still self-insured.
We are.
So, but I'm assuming, so even though you're self-insured, if you do have somebody that has a claim, they go through the state, the regular unemployment process,
Yes.
and we would just be assessed, billed by the state.
Right.
Right.
So
Okay.
up to $31,000 maximum per person, but it's up to 36% of their salary. So that would be the salary of about $110,000 person. And there are certain categories of employees that are exempt: senior work off, elected officials, and call firefighters. So I got a very interesting unemployment education a few weeks ago. But also, they do give the opportunity. The state, it tends to be pretty lenient when it comes to approving unemployment claims. But they will fight, and this actually may be what the $1,000 is, fighting on our behalf if we say that this was a termination and that there's just cause and things of that nature, then we can push back and fight.
Yeah, that's why I'm curious of what this even.
Yeah,
means.
We haven't heard back from them. We sent the email, but
I did. I sent the email actually last week, so
Yep.
I'll follow up with them and see. But I got at least one phone call out of it, so I don't know if that's worth $1,000. We'll figure that out.
so then Pitney Bowes, my postage meter was an old machine. It was out of date. They came in and gave us a new one. So there is an increase in that as another contracted service. And then let's see. I don't think, we now have 2 people being insured for bonds under travelers. So that's an increase. And then 2 people will be attending the Mass Collector Treasure School. So
That way we can get both certified.
certified.
Good.
Yep.
And that's a 6-year process, by the way.
Yes, yes.
I know.
Good
There's
time
a
to
lot,
start.
there's a lot to learn, so you have to, it's a slow, and then you have to pass the test. Collectors, treasurers are separate, so it's a big deal. So yeah. Well, those are everything for the expenses.
And then that yellow line is OPEB.
Yes.
That is, yep. So we have to, now that we have OPEB, every 2 years, we have to do an actuarial study of
Mm.
our
Mm.
future liability, because
Sure.
that goes into our audit. So as we are working on the audit, we had one done in 23/24 as we were coming into our first year of doing it, which is now. So
Mhm.
we will need to do another one in 26.
Mhm.
So in this case, we have to do back to back. Did you say?
We did it in
Every-
it was 23/24. He updated one that was done in 23, so we'll do one in 26.
What was the FY 25 appropriation?
So that appropriation was in there. I don't believe got expended. Because we didn't end up needing that study
Okay.
in 25.
All right,
So-
so that. is,
It'll flow to free cash, or, you know, if there was an offset
Offset, yeah.
expense. Yeah. It was helping us with the reconciliation.
So this is gonna be one of those tricky ones to keep track of in the budget that you like to not show up there every year.
It is.
But at the same time, it's rather frequently as every other year.
It's every other year, right? So in some ways, it's more problematic if you forget to put it back
Back in.
in. So, you know, there are often, as you can see, many services that go through that office. And there are unanticipated expenses that come up with payroll. Especially now they charge us like on a per warrant and per checks. And so, you know, if
Yep.
there are extra things
Per
that we have to do
payroll.
because we have to void things, or we have to do, you know, extra processing, then we might get some extra charges there. So it can help offset, and it'll just flow to free cash if not used.
I just wondering, like, if you put in like a description, like an even year expense or something.
Yeah.
Or even put 2 lines, one even year, one odd year, and odd year is always 0, or I don't know, it's like you can come up and.
Figure out a way
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Some way
Yeah.
to remind you of it, but yet, I mean, when things are tight, $6,500 is not.
It is, that's something to sneeze at for sure. So we can
Right.
talk about that when we work on the FY 27 budget
think-
process. We can.
I think
probably
they
look at
send
that.
us, anyways, each year, they send us an email regarding it in the breakdown, so.
Yeah.
So you'll have that number when
Yeah.
when it's needed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's also going to be part of a larger increase you're
Yeah.
going to see on the odd year, which isn't really going to be a.
Right. And you do have it flagged in there already with the
Yeah.
yellow, so.
Yep.
It's something we'll definitely make sure we look at in FY 27, because that'll be a year it won't be needed. Anyone else might have questions for Kathy? We have a couple more budgets that the department handles to go through. Which one do you have next?
I have
Kathy?
tax title. I just went in order of the numbers.
Okay. I think mine are in numerical order, so that makes it nice and easy.
Tax title expenses.
This one's really simple. It's level funded,
Yeah.
so.
Oh,
Yeah, so we haven't done much tax title activity, and it's something that we intend to start doing. And looking at, you know, recouping funding where we can, so.
We have closed on a lot of the outstanding tax titles, and the lawyer has registered them at the registry of deeds, Worcester Registry of Deeds. So we get an expense for that.
So it's picking up, which is
We've had a
good, because
few-
we had a
couple
few
of
years
thousand
where
this
we
year, yep.
didn't do much with it.
No, and that's something I need to work on as we move forward. Yep.
because we want that done if taxes aren't being paid, right? We want to.
Correct.
Yeah, you want to put it into tax title. So that if the house sells, the town at least gets their money back for their taxes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Oh.
Just a.
You got a lot of stories over there.
I only know about it because I work in real estate, but you know, clearly have a different perspective.
Well, and you know, a lot of people, you know, think that tax title activity is mean or unfair. And the way I had it explained to me once, and this made so much sense to me, was if you have 97% of people in town paying taxes, it's not fair to let 3% not pay, because that is a struggle for people, and it is the right thing to apply it universally to everybody. Because if you just said, oh, well, some people don't have to, well, you can't do that.
They can't do that, and the law says you can't cut a deal for any individual,
No,
so
you
it's
can't. Right.
kind of non-negotiable.
Right.
So anyway,
So that's tax title.
You're familiar with that too, apparently.
I helped them with their tax title problem. I didn't.
Oh, okay. Which one do you have next, Kathy?
I have debt,
What number is
highway,
that?
752.
Sorry, Kathy, what was that?
The debt, the highway debt and interest.
Highway debt. Oh,
Yep.
thank you. Okay.
Just going down.
Yes, it's going
That's a
down.
happy bit of news.
It's going down 5,700.
5,700 bucks. We're paying it down. Yay.
And that's on the interest side.
How many years do we have left on that?
Oh, God. Wait a minute, wait a minute.
I think it's attached.
It is attached. Till 2039.
But it does continue to go down on the
Yes.
interest payment, right?
Yes, the interest will go down to, well, the last one is $3,800. It decreases each year.
I don't think we ever refinanced that one. I
89.
think, but I don't know if it's.
I don't think you want to do it now.
I don't think.
No.
How many year was it?
2039.
No, I mean, how many year was it? What was the original?
Oh, was it 2020 when you guys got it?
Was it a good
Yeah, so
Yeah.
20 year,
19, 20 year?
20 year?
wouldn't be financed for Bitcoin, right?
Wasn't until it was finalized,
Oh,
because this is the permanent borrowing
As
versus
opposed to
the
the payment.
temporary.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You never know exactly how much it's gonna work out to be when you're building, so you do a ban.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever.
of- But, you know,
yeah.
I mean, if we'd all make a lot of money if we could anticipate to the penny how much things would cost. I'll remind you. All right, any other questions on debt?
no, it's pretty clear. Thank you.
And the next one's our favorite one, right? Worcester
Worcester
Regional.
Regional.
Big jump.
It is. Well, that's a big increase.
It's a huge increase,
So
and
what-
we have zero control over it at all.
Yeah.
This is the pension system
Yeah.
for.
So this is for them managing our pension plan?
No.
No, this is the actual pension fund.
So when people retire.
They get paid out.
Okay.
But obviously that money is invested and grows over time. And, you know, I think we were talking last time that someone, or Scott Hawkins said on Monday, you know, they're always saying they made a bad investment, and apparently that's not a new thing. That has been said for over decades now. So
Part of it is the whole, when interest rates flattened, that was, nobody expected it to last, what was part of our housing issue, right? Is that
sure.
interest rates went so low for so long, that just froze up the market, and they never adjusted. They always assumed they
Right.
had that infamous, we're gonna get 7 or whatever, like 7% or something like
Yeah.
that. And they just sat at 2 or less. And it just, I mean, anybody that even bought like a life insurance policy or that might be like pay out until if you're like not 80 years old, 90 years, we're finding themselves, you know, it should go to 100, and at 85, you've already. because
You've
of-
used it.
Yeah, everything is used because they use these numbers that were, when people expected the interest rates to go low, they expect it to be like a short-term thing, like for a recession or that, not a couple decades.
Right.
And it's here, it's in the, now what's, like say it throws up the housing market because nobody wants to lose their mortgage and then get a high interest rate mortgage. So yeah, it wasn't bad investment, it was bad actuarial or
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
science.
much better
That
way
way,
to put it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they looked at past history, and past history was no guidance for how long interest rates stayed bottom out.
That forecasting.
Yeah,
I think this one also it was that they didn't intend to finance it at all. So it's kind of like with us talking about the PEPs, the OPEB that we have, is that we're trying to do it gradually so it doesn't kill us when it comes that time, but they didn't take that into consideration either. So they weren't, I don't want to say pre-billing people, but
Building up reserves.
Yeah,
because you didn't have to, and now you do.
Now you do.
right.
And they have a certain deadline to meet that. it
They didn't
has
have
to
a
all-
sufficient capital basis. They were depending on income and the income wasn't flowing
Only.
because the investments needed to be conservative.
Yeah.
Well, and I would guess that's largely why now this is reportable as a liability.
And that's why, yeah.
When you do your reporting for your audit and everything, because you really do have, I mean, it looks scary, right? When we talked about OPEB before, it's a,
Mhm.
$3 million liability,
Mhm.
but you can chip away at it over time. You don't have to fund it immediately. So, but it is something that towns and cities and state need to be aware of and need to be working on.
So we didn't pay as much in prior years, so we're making up for it now.
That makes sense. I never got the whole story. Thank
Yeah.
you. That means something. I like it.
It's just.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's-
assuming
yeah,
the
that's-
picture is, yeah.
That- Yep.
It would have been nice
absolutely.
if we could
Which
have
is
like
better than
said,
bad
let's put
investment.
10,000 into a savings account to go toward, you know what I mean? Even if we had done
Yeah.
something here, but I don't know how to, if legally you can do that without having a bill. you know?
Right. Yeah, so this is just one of those ones that unfortunately we are at the mercy of what the increase is every year.
And it's not just us.
No,
That's
everybody's
everybody.
Everybody in it, yeah.
significantly.
Well, our school system is in this too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So we see it on
Yep.
that front as well.
Yep.
Yep.
Is Assabet in it? I don't remember.
Are they middle?
They're
They're
Middlesex,
Middlesex,
right?
They're
think.
middle.
Yeah,
yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
they're Marlboro, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worcester Regional. Always
Next
great
is-
news.
We're
Unemployment,
about 10% up, huh?
But if we pay it on time, we do get a little bit
We
of a
do.
discount.
we
True.
paid on time.
But that's the amount with the
This,
discount.
that's a discount.
Sorry.
I think they usually give us what?
It's like a
1%?
70 or 80,000 discount, isn't
It's
it?
a
Yeah.
large discount, yeah.
We pay it by July 1st.
So I didn't update this one, so I don't know if you want
So-
me to share the conversation that I had with the rep from Maya.
Sure, go ahead.
We talked about our unemployment claims and he did take a look back over the past 10 years. And said, what do you put aside as you are, self-assured, insured, not assured. And he said, I think 35,000 is high based on where you're at. I would recommend you go 20. So that's what I've recommended in the town administrator's budget, which obviously is a savings of $15,000. So again, really trying to shave wherever we can, sharpening those pencils, looking in and seeing, where we can go. And there's not a lot of places, but I've really taken a hard look back at a number of these expense line items that haven't changed too much over the years to make sure that if there is anything extra, we can cut it.
Yeah.
The caveat I have is that we have gotten very razor thin now in some of these line items. And it may very well, or I actually almost want to say it will require reserve fund transfers, almost most definitely. And what makes me nervous is obviously the reserve fund has a cap. It's capped at 110,000 if that's what gets approved by town meeting. That's what it's been. So I'm walking a really fine line where I'm shaving down to a razor thin margin in hopes that it's not going to go much over that, and in hopes that I don't have 10 line items that go much over that all have to come out of the reserve fund. So it's budgeting, I feel that we're asking everyone to take a really really careful look. And we're doing it as well. And I just want that, to be out there because it is a little scary, and I know it makes June really nervous, and she loves that, so, you know, I just want it to be known that we're not asking of others what we're not doing ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's a really long-winded explanation for that one.
No, so, just the top level back, Kristen, so instead of asking for X%, you're asking for.
So instead of
Y?
asking for 35,000, I'm recommending we do 20,000. That, because the initial department request was 35, but in, you know, talking
Okay.
with our rep, they believe that 20 would be sufficient, as most years it's been under 10.
In chapter 32.
This is always
A big
a
line.
one too. This is a big one. Oh, that's like micro mini font. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up the
I know.
Yeah.
first one we did.
It did.
I know. Can't see
That
it.
was a test.
So because this, what I did was this, oh wait, was this was the original one. This isn't the revised one, but I'll just pull up the original one because it includes extra spaces for 3 single plans and 3 family plans.
Two, you decreased
But
it.
we
Oh,
decreased it to
Mhm.
2.
Yep.
And in fact, there was some discussion Monday night about not saving any spots for people coming on the plan. That makes me pretty nervous because benefits add up very, very quickly. But as Scott Hawkins has pointed out, we have had a surplus some years of almost $100,000 in that line item, but then there's years that we've used it. So it's really hard to estimate this line item. I will say most cities and towns, this is your line item where you're taking your biggest gamble, your biggest guess, and you have to leave extra money in here because you don't know who's coming in and on and off plans, who's switching from single to family plans. And as you all know, there's a number of things that are qualifying events throughout the year. If your spouse loses insurance, if, you know, what have you, that allow you to switch on and off. So new
I will say-
employees coming in.
Yeah, we've had more than 3 new employees this year, and we've had changes in plans from single to family because they've had children and stuff. So,
So that is one budget where we can't put it razor thin, in my opinion, because even taking out 1 single plan and 1 family plan, it was a cost of about $44,000. So, I mean, you're gonna eat through your reserve fund really, really quickly if you level this out to just your current employees that are on the plan.
Do we do anything for, I know this is common now in regular workplace of if a spouse has eligibility for insurance, that there's penalties put on them if they take a family plan like with us and don't take a plan on their side. I mean, this is pretty common in the private sector now. I mean, it's not like huge, but they will.
Yeah, we can't
So we-
penalize, but we can do not a buyout. What's the
so what
word?
a lot of towns do is if you choose to go on each single plan as husband and wife, they'll give one of the spouses a difference of like $4,000 because they're giving you $4,000 to not take the plan
Right,
because it's saving you money,
yes,
but never
they also,
penalize.
I know going the other way now, if your spouse does have access to insurance and you're putting them on your plan, there's basically an extra surcharge for them doing that to try and encourage them not to be.
Yeah, no, because what if they both needed to be on family plans? Then you couldn't charge them because you can only have one family.
Well, you could have, I mean, most places I know is like have, I don't know what their breakdown plans. I mean, most places have a,
Oh, you mean,
no, they have, no, the single, the +1, and then family. So it'd be like if you come down to where you'd be, or even if the family can be, it can actually be single plus dependents basically, and like the spouse, if they have access, is, no, they want to be on that full plan, otherwise.
we
actually
only have single and
did hit
family
that
here.
Once though,
Yeah.
we did look into it a little bit back, to do the 2-person plan. And it wound up, I believe, costing us more because then the other 2 plans go up. so that you could offer that third plan. But this was going back a few years. I don't know if it's
Could
changed
look
now.
into it. We're gonna be speaking with
Yeah.
Yeah,
them
we're,
soon, so
yep.
we could talk to them about it.
next week, we're meeting with our Maya
Rep.
rep. We are at a 12.1%
Yep.
increase for
Health,
health insurance and
7.05.
7.5. Oh, 05 for dental.
05
I knew I
for
was forgetting
dental.
a number in there.
Mhm.
So what we can ask the question, I think we're bound a little bit more in what we can do than the private sector in terms of the penalty.
Well, I
but we
mean,
can do the
I do
buyout.
know, I mean, well, maybe people act like even my employer is a private insured, not. So
Ah.
that may make a difference, but they've been doing it for years now. It's like you have to sign off on if you have a spouse that's on this plan, do they have access to another plan?
Might be right.
And like I said, they've been doing this for like, I don't know, 15 years.
And they have access to that information to verify it or not?
Yeah, because isn't it a HIPAA law or something?
I was just like,
Yeah.
how could we make them prove it?
Yeah.
Well, what it is, actually, they can look through employment records. So they can go through and like, for example, my wife is a part-time, so she hasn't qualified on it. But if you do certain things, I mean, it becomes, there's lots of data on you that you can.
Don't know, yeah. You
I have not
can't pay
had,
for on the
I've
internet.
never had to be audited on that, but they can. I mean, it's no different than like the extra surcharge of, are you a smoker?
Mm.
No, stuff like that. It's same things. They can just come in and give you, the random, cotton swab of, do you have tobacco? I mean, that's what they do,
Nicotine, yeah.
right? It's, the detective.
Yeah, we can't do that to people here, but
I think Heidi, the ultimate hammer with all this is that you can avoid your benefits if you lie on your commit fraud on your forms. So that's really the hammer. And so I don't know that you need to do a lot beyond that, as long as people understand it. With the private,
Right.
public sector, I can't speak to, but. So I was just checking, Kristen, and we put 110,000 in the reserve
yes.
fund. So
Did I say a different number?
no,
Oh,
you didn't.
okay.
I was just thinking about the reserving those spots on insurance policies that, yeah,
Well, and
you're
this,
right. We could go through that pretty quickly.
yeah, that was my concern. So this is what
Yeah.
it would look like going down to 2 single and 2 family additional enrollment
Mhm.
or additional spots, if you will, from 3. It brings us from the 944
Yep.
down to 900. I'll show you actually on the screen, because I have it built into the budget right here. Yep. So, this 944,499 was the original department request with the 3 extra spots for single and 3 for family. And that does bring it down, substantially by just taking away 1 single and 1 family plan. So if you take away all 3, you're going down almost another $90,000, and that could just wipe out the reserve fund.
Yeah, so this really illustrates when you think about having 110,000 in the reserve fund and look at this, you can really see that you're cutting it close.
Correct.
Yes.
And I'll go through this after and show you the places where I have cut it very close. This is one that I'm not comfortable cutting it that close, to be honest. And some may disagree, and I understand that, but I would just have concern because it is so volatile throughout the year. It just changes. It's just constantly in flux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Anyhow, I jumped in again, Kathy. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Is that the last one?
That was the last one.
Wow.
Did you do
Yeah.
Medicare?
We did
Oh,
Medicare.
Oh, we didn't. do
We did?
Medicare,
We did? Oh,
Uh,
we
I
didn't.
don't think we jumped right over Medicare. All right.
I thought we did. We skipped.
Nope, that's the last
Sorry.
one.
Oh, Medicare, yeah.
That's a pretty simple one. So it's a 4% increase, I believe. I think, let me see, I can show you from
Yeah.
here. Yep.
Yep.
4% increase in Medicare. That's the-
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy.
Good luck.
Thanks for coming out.
We actually have the historical commission here this evening. They asked earlier in the budget season if they could come. And I asked if they would come for the 8:20 time spot. So if that works for you, they are.
Sure.
Yep.
June.
Super. And this is a CPA stuff, right? No.
Nope,
This is
historical
historical.
commission budget.
Okay.
And if you'll just move the microphones towards you, they're like directional microphones, so you don't have to be super close to them. You just have to make sure they're angled at your face.
Hi, James.
Close enough.
June.
Hey. No.
All right, let me bring up your.
I do need names.
June Miller.
Thank you, June.
And Janet Woodward.
It helps if I spell your names right. Do you have official titles?
I'm chair
Okay, thank you.
and Janet was clerk, but she managed to
Yes.
skate this year.
We moved that around a little bit,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
give
So
people
Janet-
equal
Yeah,
turns.
we're familiar with that.
You could be our clerk. You're experienced.
Yeah. I love to, but.
But,
No.
yeah.
Thank you for your indulgence. I appreciate it.
All right. So I think largely you wanted to probably speak about your supplemental funding request, which I actually have some good news on as well. So I'll interject on you at that point
Okay.
too. So I'm just cutting off everybody. I apologize in
Okay.
advance. So there's your budget if you want to take it away.
The $100 amount for advertising has been constant for quite a few years now, and that's to pay for any advertising we have to do for demo delay hearings. And the 515 is the amount that we've asked for several years in a row now for archival supplies. We have a 2007 desktop, and it's not compatible with our new external hard drives, nor is it compatible with the version 5 of the Past Perfect database that we use. So we're still using it, but it's very poor for what we need to accomplish. CM Geeks has estimated $1,500 for a desktop, $300 to set it up. The Past Perfect update doesn't cost anything. Since we're offline in the curatorial building, which is where the desktop lives, we would get a USB from Past Perfect, and we'd get on the phone and they would talk us through the update. And so we don't have to pay for that, which is good.
I have a proposal, which I haven't even shared with June, I don't think. We actually received a state earmark for $25,000 for IT upgrades. It is for FY '25, so it has to be expended by June 30th. However, given our budgetary situation, I would like to include this computer as part of that state
Earmark.
earmark, rather than try to put it through the budget process. That's my proposal.
That makes sense.
You might get it a little early.
Yeah,
Makes a lot of sense.
that's right.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
Surprise.
June, would it be useful to be able to take that computer out occasionally and do some work at home?
Well, primarily it's used for the Past Perfect database. And currently Barry Ager and our work-off employee Karen
Mhm.
migrate
Yep.
into that. And it doesn't, it's an old desktop. It wouldn't do to. it wouldn't be-
No, I just meant for the function it serves as part of the tutorial. Would it be useful to be on a laptop rather than a desktop so that if
Oh.
somebody wanted to work on Past Perfect in the comfort of
Yeah.
your recliner, that you could then take it back and forth?
The version 5, I think we can move on to someone else's laptop if we.
Sure. I'm talking
uh,
about the box itself.
Yeah,
Right.
but the commission talked about, laptop versus desktop, and we
Hmm.
decided that we wanted it fixed there.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that's a preference of Barry's,
Oh dear.
mainly, but
Hmm.
he's the man who is the custodian, so
Sure, understood.
we,
One option that might be available to you that you might want to share, and I'd be happy to show you or Barry or Janet or anyone else. I have basically the equivalent of both a desktop and a laptop. And it's a docking station that I can plug into. So I actually, if you go into my office, I use 2 screens, but I have monitors, I have a keyboard, I have everything. And there's this lovely little black box that connects my laptop, and then I can unplug it and I can take my laptop with me. So it has all the features of a desktop. It has a mouse and everything like that, but then I can also make it a laptop if need be. So
well,
it's very cool. If you're
Yeah.
interested in that, I'd be happy to show you how it works. It's basically you just plug in one little cord when you bring the laptop back and it connects everything up.
It's your docking station with a vertical, instead of the flat.
Instead of the
docking
box,
station, it's a.
it's a little black box about yay big and yay high. And all of the things plug into it. The monitors, the keyboard, the mouse, and then your desktop plugs into it, or your laptop rather plugs into it when you bring it back home. And then you can unplug it and take the laptop with
So
you.
it's Lenovo.
well, that,
Lenovo box?
These are Dell.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Laptop.
what we've asked for is a Dell, because that's what CM Geeks likes to
Yeah,
Hmm.
deal
they
with.
got off the state bid list.
Yeah, I would think, since I don't deal with the Past Perfect directly, it might be that our work-off employee would benefit from the dockings, from being able to plug well, it would be her laptop.
Yeah, well, and you get
Or
a cord that
case-
goes with you home for the laptop for power, but it literally, when you bring it back to the curatorial building, it's one plug that you have to plug in. And I remember when I switched to a docking station at first, I was like, okay, this looks like way too complicated. But when they were like, oh no, it's just one thing you have to plug in, I'm like, okay, I can handle that. So I'd be happy to show you guys.
That would be,
Then you have the best of both worlds.
yeah, also, those 2 terabyte hard drives that we have now that are, Marty is loading,
The photos.
the digital, yeah, all the digitized information.
Yep,
that
those can
could-
hook
that-
right up to the
yeah.
laptop too.
That would be good.
Yep.
Because the 2007 machine we have now, it won't even take those hard drives.
It's not, doesn't have the ports for it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just, yeah. Sounds like we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like your proposal, Kristen.
Yes,
It was really helpful for me when I, because I don't want to sit on a laptop here all day, I want to have it work like a real
yeah.
computer when I'm here, but then to work at home on the nights and weekends and, all that. Good fun time.
Yeah,
It's,
One of the
I sit in a chair, I do. I'm not gonna lie, it's not always at the dining room table. Sometimes it's on the couch and it is nice to have the laptop, so.
yeah.
That's great.
They just can't download. I'm just shocked that 2007 desktop still
Oh,
running.
that's a really good point. That is.
I was having the same reaction, Scott.
18-year
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It works?
You know,
Well,
What
you know,
magic is
guys,
that?
this is the historical commission.
I
And I want you to know-
I had a few jokes. I was thinking.
You'll have to keep the old one and enter it into the historical artifacts.
we don't have any room, so I don't know.
I wasn't gonna make the storage comment, but.
Whatever you do, don't put it in the hearse house.
Or the old fire station, please.
Things are, have to leave.
Yes, Not a
be-
grow.
Yeah. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Kristen, for finding that out for
Absolutely.
us. Yeah. It's good.
That's exciting.
It's kind of nice to get it
It is
live,
exciting.
isn't it? It's sort of like being on a game show where they're like, congratulations, you just won a new computer. No, I just wish I had had the opportunity to tell you sooner, but it just with
It's okay.
everything going on, didn't have a
Yeah.
chance.
Now,
So,
where you have everything going on to the portable hard drives, is that something that we'd ever consider putting it on to the server, just so accidental or backup or?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's
Or the cloud.
everything that is being entered and, is being backed up on the second hard drive, but to have it elsewhere would be
I'm just
wonderful.
thinking it's a
Yeah.
lot of work and a lot of
Oh, yeah,
neat things that
Yeah.
could get.
We buy the Google Suite, so we get a certain amount of cloud storage. I don't know, it's worth asking CM Geeks if we could back it up on the cloud storage. That way you have it in two places.
Do you know what the size of that storage is?
I don't, that's the thing, it might be too big, but we can find out.
I'm
Did
just
you
thinking you guys-
indicate there's no online access though where you're at?
right, we don't have,
Well, that's where a laptop would be much more handy, because if you
True.
can move it someplace else, you can do that
Yeah.
backup.
we can, the 1870 has, which is right next door to us, has internet. I actually haven't tried to use it, but I think Lucy did for minutes. Maybe we'll check it again tomorrow because we meet tomorrow.
Is it close enough to the curatorial building that you can pick it up in that building?
When I use my iPhone there, it's always taking it from T-Mobile, which is,
It's not picking up the.
so I don't,
Far.
but we should investigate that. Because I think at some point, we probably do need access there.
Even if it's a hotspot or something, I know the library has a number of hotspots that they loan out, but I'm sure they're not that expensive to purchase.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know where the Wi-Fi router is located in 1870, but
Could you move it closer to?
well, but you can
Back
you
of the
can buy
building.
little fob booster things and
Mhm.
put them where you
Oh.
want them. So depending on where it is, if it's close enough to the fob thing, if it was on the wall facing tutorial, you might be, if you stuck it in the kitchen, you could probably get a signaling. tutorial.
I'll connect you with our IT director.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, it's me. We'll get you fixed up.
Okay, it's good. Okay.
Oh, nicely done.
So I think we're all set, Jen.
Excellent. This has been a very
You-
pleasant
Yes,
time.
experience, right?
Yeah.
You'll come back then.
We'll be back. We'll
But
be
you're not
here.
gonna take minutes.
No, I did write a few things.
Oh, all right.
Have a minute. to take them.
It's always nice to see.
Yeah.
I share your pain.
Yeah. Oh, well, nice to see everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks,
coming out.
everybody.
Yeah.
And we save the best for last.
Oh, no, I'm gonna be really quick, so we can.
It's June.
She says really quick, but look at that stack there. That doesn't
No,
look
this is,
quick.
I didn't do separate, it's just mine.
Give me a minute, I gotta share again.
June, you're gonna have to remind me of your title. I really,
I am the town accountant,
thank you.
She's just June.
I'm just June.
I know that, I knew she had a title, but I only know her as June.
Just hang out.
All right. Oh, what did I just do? That? No,
Wow,
please stop.
that's it. See, that's how
That's,
quick.
that's how
was.
quick it went. It's done.
We're out of here.
Let's see. Here we go. There you go. There's your payroll.
So payroll, as far as salary and full-time wages go, it's just the COLA. And pretty much everything is pretty much level funded, except for stamps. We don't need as many as we had in the past, because a lot of stuff now goes by email.
Apparently you're done.
I guess
I now
so.
close the window. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me try that again.
So we did move some stuff around because now we need to have a special way of entering all of the 1099s to the IRS now, and unfortunately, I would have to sign it up under my own personal information to forward it. So I've just done it. We are using a company that charges us around $130 to cover those costs of actually doing the filing for it. Everything else is pretty much level. If we should, I'm hoping after we're all caught up and moving on, that we will be able to get downstairs and start removing a lot of the old files that we need to go through and shred and recycle. So this $600 filing cabinet, we hope we don't need. So I know it's not a lot, but that's what we got.
Open it this way so I can rotate the view. Back to personnel. Where's my Zoom now? Oh, it's-
And it's just pretty much the COLA.
I don't know, from date stamp, it looks like this is the first department budget you got, Kristen, isn't it?
I believe it is.
Uh-huh.
Actually, wasn't.
I won't tell you when mine came in, but it wasn't as soon as June's.
I just wanted to make sure it was in because I didn't want to be late. That's the truth.
You want to make your own rules and deadlines? I like that.
Exactly.
Set the example.
There is some extra time for overtime for Amy, who is in the office, to cover for me. Hopefully when I can use up some vacation time, so. If needed, if it's not needed, then it will be there and we'll be back.
I think the rest are just short contracts.
Yep.
That's it.
All the excitement I got.
Well done, June. Well done.
And the only other one is the audit.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is going up $500.
Voila. From 21,000 to 21,500.
And I believe that is going to be the end of this contract too, so we'll be looking at doing that for the following year.
How long does the contract usually?
In the past, we've done it for 3 years, but this one here, I think is gonna be the 3rd year here, is in 26.
And it's not a bad thing to change audit firms every once in a while. It's not something you want to do like every contract cycle, because you want to get in their calendar and, you know, get on their radar. You don't want to be their last, you know, client that they come to do the audit and, you know, be in like April or May for the previous fiscal year. But I know we switched. Was it 3 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
the
think
last
it's been
contract
that
we
long.
switched, and you had,
Yep.
I think, a couple decades, the same
Yeah, because
auditor.
we would jump from, as soon as they rolled into a different one, we managed to stay with them, which was nice, just because you could call them at any time. And
So some consistency is
but they
good.
got a really big company now that they would not work with us.
Yeah.
As they used to, so.
things change, people get busy, you know, mergers and acquisitions, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other thing is, I don't know if you want to touch on the electricity or
Oh, yeah.
fuel oil.
Oh, this is good news. Not electrical. What number is it? Sorry.
192.
Oh, I went too far, that's why.
And the same on paper, we put them on both on the same sheet this year.
Hey, I like it, makes it easier. So we actually went and made a further reduction after June and I sat down, which I will show you on here. Sorry, don't get dizzy. Sorry for
Close your
those of
eyes.
you online. Yes, close your eyes momentarily. So in just looking at where, we've come in, and this is one of the razor thin ones. We scaled off $5,000 off, another $5,000 off of electricity, and another $5,000 off of fuel oil, bringing that total reduction to $25,000. So should there be a drastic spike in oil and or electricity, we're coming to the reserve fund. So just something to keep in mind, but again, part of our pencil sharpening process.
Yeah, and the electricity too, I think last year was our first year of having solar on the highway barn.
Yeah, first full year. Yep.
So, we're still in that figuring out exactly what the bills might look like. But as of right now, it's been okay, and we've been coming in under the 75, so we should be okay as far as the electricity goes. Because we are still keeping in mind if the projects for South Common go through for Pavilion, that'll be additional electricity. There was one other thing too.
South Commons, the solar, and flagpole,
Yeah, the church flagpole,
which
we're
may-
still working.
they
that.
maybe want. We were asking, select board have asked me to inquire with First Parish as to whether or not they would like their clock and the flagpole that are on their property but belong to the town. They would like to have them. And we are actually paying to light that flag, even though it is on private property, which is a little sort of archaic and things have changed. And so that would make things a lot cleaner. I'm sure you've all have heard of separation of church and state. So we really actually
This
just
is
did-
Massachusetts.
It is
so be
Massachusetts,
careful.
I know. And in general, we shouldn't be paying for something on private property. And if you have a flagpole, you have to light it. That is a requirement. So we do pay for that. So it would be nice to perhaps split our respective things
That's a-
off.
That's a town requirement to light your thing.
That,
No.
I don't know if that's federal or I
That's
think,
protocol,
or
it's flag
state.
protocol.
Unless you take the flag up and down every
Yes.
single day.
Uh-huh.
that's correct,
Which
But
way
if the
back
flag
is it?
remains up, it needs to be lit.
at night.
And so the federal police are gonna come to your house.
Yes.
We used to
Well,
get calls from veterans and
but I was
my
gonna
former
say-
community when it was out at night. If the light went out for some reason. Oh, yeah.
I remember one time, the school in front of my flag had become tattered. I hadn't noticed it and the custodian hadn't noticed it. Oh, good Lord. I can't tell you how many phone calls I got from veterans, and it was like,
I would have people physically in my.
Thousand
office as well.
apologies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
we took that flag down, but then we couldn't get another one. So we didn't even have one up. We were like trying to scour.
So the advice basically is to don't put up the US flag, don't put up a flagpole because it just.
Correct. And even further, if you're going to have a flag, then you should have what we have, which is a flag policy, which says you can only hang state governmental flags and POW flags. Ours says, because that was an allowed one as well. Because once you hang one flag that is of any other country, group, interests, then you have to hang them all.
That's a town policy.
No, that is a freedom of speech.
No, but I mean, for hanging, on town.
Oh, yes,
property.
we have it, right,
It's
and
not you are going to, you know, some Canadian in town or that has a Canadian flag and be
No.
running after them.
Towns are going to this in Massachusetts. Flag policies have become a big thing because a
Yes.
lot of city halls want to fly flags for different events, whether it's Armenian genocide or Pride or, you know, what have you. Unfortunately, then you also have to allow flags that might be offensive to people. So,
Can I go back to utility costs?
you don't want to talk about flags, okay?
You may have said something and I was typing and so I didn't hear it, so I apologize.
Yes.
The estimation of costs for electricity and oil, does that take into consideration the renovation area? Once it's up and running?
That is an excellent point.
That I think was the other,
Yes, we do estimate that to be at least
in this
18
building.
months before it's up and running, so that will likely be an FY 20, it'll be close to a 27 charge. It might kick in
a
26.
little bit maybe in 26.
They're
we'll
saying
have a
at
feel.
least 18 to 24 months. So, but yes, that is not in there yet and will need to be.
Okay.
I figured that would be, we'll cross that bridge when we
And-
come to it.
And the clock that you speak of is the
Yes.
clock that's on the steeple of the
Mhm.
church?
Correct. That is owned by the town, and we, believe it or not, have a donation fund for clock maintenance that somebody gave. June did an awesome amount of research back in the 70s, but it would be very difficult to try to track people down and give them their money back. So we would have to also try to figure out a mechanism for whether those funds could somehow go with the clock. More complicated.
It's the little things in life.
Yep.
It is. Don't get me going on the shared septic. I can go on that for a long time.
That's not in this budget
Okay,
process.
fair enough. I was gonna say, I'm getting punchy and I just looked and it's 2 minutes of 9, so there you go. That's what happens.
Yep.
Oh,
And also the 1870, if we wind up, if we start doing more programs of the 1870, we'll also have the costs that we may need more fuel, oil and electricity, so.
So that one's a risk. Both of them.
Well,
Understood.
the solar at the town barn, I know, or I've heard of people who do solar in their homes where they almost go to like a zero bill.
Yeah, so
Is that foreseeable with the town barn?
so it's not a zero bill, but what happens is isn't it close to a zero national grid bill, but we pay for the solar, but it's
Yeah.
20%, I believe, cheaper to pay for the solar. So yes, so your national grid bill is pretty much zero or a few dollars or tens of dollars every month, but then you're paying the solar company for the solar power.
So remind me, are
District
those
usage
leased?
Charge, you're saying goes to zero, but your power charges.
No, the distribution charge is still there. The electric charge goes to zero. Because the poles are still, yeah, they can
Yeah.
still collect on their infrastructure, even though you're not.
Okay.
Mhm. Are the solar units, are they leased?
The panels are through a company that has changed names about 7 times between now and then, which happens with solar companies. So I don't know their name, but yes.
So that's the 80% that we're
fee.
paying. of what they-
Correct. And we have a power purchase agreement with them where, you know, we get a certain amount of it and
You know, we have to
There's-
apply credits and.
it's
yeah.
it's a very
Very confusing. and
complex,
complicated.
formula that goes into it. So many thanks to Amy who
I was
sits
just
there
gonna
and
say,
figured it
yeah,
all
I
out.
only know the minimal. Amy's all in charge of that.
Any idea if we're producing enough to feed back into National Grid, or is it internally?
I think
consumed?
it's
We
set
can
up.
get a little more info. I don't think it's set up
I
that
don't
way.
think so.
I
I think we're running at a credit right now
It
on the
probably all
bill.
goes into national grid.
Yeah, I know you get, usually you'll have a credit in the
Summer.
credit in the summer because the daylight hours are shorter in the winter. So you accumulate less and then that credit you build up in the summer pays for the overage in the winter. Yeah, but I can't tell you, are we actually metering back more than we're using?
The design might have been to
Overall.
break even.
I would
You're
think
Designed
so.
to break even because you can't make money from it. It's like where you can, you want.
That would make
design it
sense.
To be breaking even, because obviously, like you just said, summertime, you'll have a credit. You hope those credits will offset the extra costs because you're not getting as much sunlight,
Right.
but you, because the way they set it up, which is something that's not sustainable, but they allow it to be sold right back at retail price to National Grid is forced to buy it back at the retail price, but you can't, they say, I only gonna use, I do double and then get money back. You can't get that.
Right. It's like double dipping sort of, or.
Well,
Well, not
part of it,
really,
they made
but-
it so generous. I mean, that's,
Sorry to interrupt.
Keys?
Yeah, there's something for me to sign. I forgot my keys.
Oh, the code. I mean, I didn't want to give it to everybody in the town.
We were waiting.
I mean, you're welcome to come hang out in my office if you'd like,
We're
but.
waiting for that.
Play more on the budgets. Cause I have the one big question for you. Is she knows
No.
what that is.
No, I have no further questions on.
I
on
prepped
electricity.
her.
All right.
But I do have some more information on the larger budget if you'd like to have that.
Sure.
How about when do we have that?
Oh, that's the question. you can ask
I'm
her.
gonna
Don't
go,
make her crazy, please.
I'm not gonna cry. I will try not to cry.
It has been really rough for them.
We have gotten all the information from the consultant. Kathy and I have found most of the entries that need to be fixed. And I have officially started the closing process. My deadline was this Friday and I'm really upset, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do by this Friday. But I have to have it done by at least the second week in March. So hopefully by the end of March, you'll have.
Okay.
I would like to
Anybody
say
trying to,
sooner.
Obviously, watch this later. It's like, I mean, when will we have the free cash number? That is.
That is the
question.
magic question, and I have already reached out to Anna and let her know that she would not have it for next week. Or this week. Last week I let her know she would not have it for this week, but they do still want to meet to discuss the requests as well as the cemetery wants a mower that got mixed in with the operating request, so they're looking at that as well. It was found late in the process because it was attached to their operating budget.
Highway or cemetery?
Cemetery. I guess the cemetery commission had a conversation with Fred and that's the way they wanted to go because they store it in their shed and with it, it's their equipment at the cemetery. So yeah, I trust how Fred would like to approach that. So would you like to see my recommended budget?
Yep.
All right.
Gotta look at it at some time, right?
I know. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I was trying to make it bigger, not add sheets. Let's try that again. All right, so I'm gonna do this a little bit backwards. I'm gonna start with the expenditures this time because I think it actually makes things simpler when you roll it up to the higher level summary page. Let's see. Can I make this all show? Yes, I can. Awesome. Okay, so yellow, in addition to the supplemental items, which just so everyone's aware, my budget does not recommend funding any supplemental items and does not recommend any step increases, unfortunately. It just has the 2% cost of living and that's it. So the supplemental are in yellow just so you can see them easily, but it does not mean anything.
The step increases, though, that's not, however, it's in a union contract.
That is correct. That is for non-union employees, as is the COLA. Union employees have their own steps and COLAs and, you know, for police and fire as dictated by their contracts. So I thought I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Oh, no, this isn't.
Oh, it's not, it's
Oh.
not sharing this one. Oh,
The wrong thing.
sorry. It didn't hop over to the right
Thanks,
screen.
Roger.
Thank you, Roger. All right. Sorry, everyone. Didn't realize it hadn't changed applications with me.
He's been doing this long enough to know what the screen was supposed
There
to
you
look
go.
like.
It's getting good.
He's paying attention in there.
All right, so what we're looking at is this column here, the FY 26 TA, which is my recommended budget. So like I said, without the supplemental, I basically have a couple of colors going on in here. Yellow is still an unknown and green is where I'm recommending savings be above and beyond, the department requests. So, the town administrator, police chief, and fire chief contracts are all under negotiation, so that is why that is yellow. I am recommending that, and this is gonna be a tight one, that we reduce legal down to $60,000. The reason I feel comfortable doing that is we were just under $30,000 for the first half of FY 25. Now, that is a very, again, volatile influx budget. If there is a lawsuit that comes up or some type of, complex legal matter, we have to go to the reserve fund. But as of right now, given the fact we were at 28,000 in legal expenses as of December 31st, I am recommending that we could go with 60, and that's going to be one of our razor thin margin ones. So that's a 40% reduction in the legal budget, which is pretty substantial.
Let me just pause
Yeah.
this. So if we find ourselves with the paring back on what's recommended, if we find ourselves exhausting the reserve fund, we have to go back and get a vote from.
We'd
town.
have to have a special town meeting.
Okay, just that, I thought that was the case. I wanted to be clear about it.
Unless, is there any other way that you're aware of?
I mean,
The last
technically,
few months.
it would be yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that
if
would
it's
be
May,
it,
then
but-
we're okay.
But if you're
Then we'd be
last
having
60
town
days.
meeting anyways, so.
But if you're like
Yeah.
mid-year
Yeah.
and we're technically just not gonna be paying bills and we can't incur any costs if we start running out of money, that's.
Right.
Then we know
Okay.
we've got that 6,500, we can go after the collector's line.
There you go. Well, not till May, though.
Not till May, but-
That's for this budget. though,
Or if
not
you
the
have
next
anything
budget.
in employee benefits, which, that
Chapter 32B over the last couple of years, we've actually used.
we have had to use to cover some overages.
Yeah.
So we've been able to transfer into a different fund.
Line item
Yeah.
transfers as
Line item
opposed to
transfer.
reserve fund
Yeah.
transfers, but that can't happen till May 1st.
Otherwise, we do have to go to town meeting.
Okay.
The one thing I can say is it's hard to say right now, but we did certainly have enough business to do a fall town meeting or a winter town
Mhm,
meeting last year. I think that this town is growing in terms of volume of projects and business, that it may continue to make sense to do a special town meeting in the fall/winter. So that would be a time where if we were running low, we could request an article to replenish the reserve fund mid-year. I don't actually know why that's in green because I didn't reduce that any further. I did reduce it from FY 25 because we had some leases in there that I was able to take out that we've now paid off, and plus that state earmark I mentioned for computers. That's going to help us actually buy those computers outright rather than continue with a lease payment, which was paid out of data systems. So that is really, really helpful, and we thank our state legislators for that. I also, and I haven't had a chance to sit with Eloise. I did reach out to her by email, but we haven't connected yet. I was looking at the elections and realizing that we are in a smaller election year, not a presidential election year. So it may make sense to go back to the FY 24 level for elections, which was $5,000. So I'm just confirming with her that that would be acceptable. Obviously that's her budget, so,
Makes sense.
want to find out, but it dawned on me that we're not in a presidential year anymore with 4 elections. So, that's a substantial amount in terms of poll workers that you won't need to pay. So that's one area I thought we could potentially identify some additional savings. We talked about electricity and fuel oil just a few moments ago. We also looked at what we are spending on the town report. That is not an additional reduction, but that is a reduction nonetheless from where we were at in FY 20. Why does that say 2,500? Oh, well, that's not right.
It's not the correct amount.
Yeah, see, this is where that's so easy to make like a one correction mark. So this is one, oh, I think I know why I did this. Yes, I do know why I did this. Sorry, it took me a minute. This would mean eliminating the Powder House News that we're doing monthly. If you recall, we put $7,500 into this budget in FY 25. This would bring it back down to what it was, which would just cover the once a year town report. We don't mail out a lot of copies, but we do print copies right now of it and put them in places around town. So that would mean that the Powder House News would have to become either completely on an online, electronically available only paper, or we would have to cut it out completely. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really like that change.
I
because
know.
I think where it has impact is a lot of the people that really want the printed stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't need a lot of copies, but I hate to see us go to zero on that. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
how many copies do we print now?
We print about 250 copies per newsletter, and we do like 50 at the library, 50 at the general store, 19 Carter,
yeah.
Town Hall lobby.
Do you find that most of them get taken?
Yeah, I was
Yes.
just gonna ask that question.
And actually, we went up a little bit because they were being taken.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I think we did 200 the first month or two and ended up going up to, I believe, 250. I'll confirm that number with D. But mailing, I believe we mail less than 20. So there's been a
Mhm.
huge savings in mailing costs, because what we did was we said you can opt in to be mailed as opposed to automatically having it mailed to you. So,
So
yeah,
I think communication to people and to the public about things going on in this building is really important. And so
agreed.
200-300 copies printed, what's the bill on that? I mean, could you put it back in the other column? A small amount?
Let me look at it a little bit further. I viewed it as it was a one-year experiment, so it was something where it could come out of the budget without having an impact on salaries, personnel, that kind of thing. So that's why I did it there, but I can take another look at it if that is amenable to the committee.
I agree with Mary. I think it's an important tool.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a tremendous amount of feedback on it. I do know we do have a number of continually increasing online subscribers, which that's obviously pretty inexpensive to do, but
Well, you're gonna get there eventually. I don't know that we're there quite
the
yet.
tipping point.
Yeah, so I think there's a population that I'd like to see us continue to communicate with.
Okay.
They're probably not likely to go on the website and look at things. So I know we're trying to build communication
We are.
on the website as a communication portal. That's really important, I think, and good, but I don't want to leave people in the dust,
Makes sense.
It could, if it were a lot more money, I would feel differently about it, but I don't think I don't know what that number is, but I don't imagine it's huge.
Let me take, now I'll have bills through February. So let me take another look at where we're at with cost, and I'll come back to you guys with that. The next
Thank
two
you.
are police and fire chief salaries, as I mentioned. Again, sorry for the scrolling.
Now, is there a deadline for those contract negotiations?
Those contracts expire June 30th. So I've been in contract negotiations since December. Hopefully those will be wrapped up soon. And the police and fire chief contracts are going, I've already met with both of the chiefs, and I'm working with town council right now on a proposal that will go to the select board on March 10th. So I'm hoping to have those resolved well before June 30th and at least have a decent idea of where we need to be budget-wise. COA social services. I am recommending a couple of decreases here. One of which is the salary is slightly lower, as it's no longer a licensed social worker with a master's degree. So there is some inherent savings in there. I was also recommending that we basically level fund the van drivers at 25,000, especially because we just got the MWRTA microtransit grant that'll take folks from Berlin to Hudson and then a couple points in Marlboro, and recommending level funding on the expenses. would like to keep those extra COA hours in there. Melissa just passed her 90-day review. She's doing a phenomenal job. And she is here. I keep telling her to go home. There's a lot of work to be done, and she's doing data collection on everything. So we'll have actual information on who's attending events and, you know, figuring out, she's working on a survey that's going to be going out to folks about specific things that they would be interested in doing. And she's been meeting with a lot of different groups and collaborating with folks like Neshoba Neighbors and 19 Carter. And so far I've heard nothing but positive feedback.
And
So
she does have a lot of people coming in.
I was gonna say
to
the
find
foot
her, yeah.
traffic has really picked up, I think, especially
good way.
because she's up here.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
people coming in. I mean, referrals. She does referrals to a lot of different services and what's the word? I guess services is the right word.
Yeah.
She's pretty energetic in a way that I
She
think invites
is.
people to come in.
I think she's very inviting and
Yeah.
friendly, and that was one of the things that I picked up on right away in the interview, and I thought she's just got such a great personality for the position. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that you feel that way too.
What was the grant you mentioned, the MWRA, or what was it?
So we got an 18-month grant through the MWRTA. It's called a micro transit grant. So it's door-to-door service, 6 days a week. Through the MWRTA, it goes door to door from Berlin to anywhere in Hudson and certain points in Marlboro. And there's information on our website. Also, there is mailers that went out. They should have gone out to everybody by now, I believe.
Yes.
And there's a number on there that you call. There's also an app you can use to book your transit. And part of our issue was that cross-county thing where, you know, we're in Worcester County, but our major metropolitan area is in Middlesex. So this is helping resolve some of that. So people were struggling to get to like Highland Commons and, you know, places that people consider to be Hudson, even though it's half in Berlin. So we're trying to resolve that. So it's an 18-month grant. They're going to look at ridership data and cost, and then they'll let us know at the end how much it would cost the town to continue it. But right now it's free.
Okay, so what got added was the fact that they can go to Middlesex. Before, I mean, we still have what.
We still have our van.
existing-
Yes.
We still have our van, but I mean, is there, people could have done the MWRA in Worcester County?
No.
No.
So that was the issue, and that's why we got the grant, because basically you could get anywhere in Worcester County, you couldn't get anywhere in Middlesex.
Well, that's what I was saying. It was
So-
you still could get everything covered in Worcester.
Correct.
The issue was the
Marlboro, Hudson.
getting to Middlesex County when we were right on the border with Middlesex County, and as you said.
Exactly.
we
Half
made
inch.
sure- Okay, so it extended, so it basically closed a gap, at
Yes.
least all Hudson, and you said.
And points in Marlboro where you can connect to Marlboro's MWRTA transit system.
Oh, okay, they could get to more places, they just have to get to.
It's not door to door in Marlboro.
Okay, but
So-
Hudson is door to door.
Hudson is door to door. You gotta go to the grocery store, you gotta go wherever you need to go, they will take you. And it's, I don't wanna get the hours wrong, but it's a significant number of
It
hours.
is.
I think it's like 8 AM to, now I wanna
So when I
look.
got the message through the town and I was reading it, I was impressed by how much time it.
Pretty
covers.
comprehensive.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like having a private service.
It really
And this
is.
service is available to our seniors or anybody in the community.
Anybody in the community. So it's Monday through Friday, 6:45 AM to 6:45 PM, and Saturdays, 8 AM to 6 PM. And you can get the information on our website, or you can visit mwrta.com/catch, as in catch a ball, CATCH. And it's called their Catch Connect service. That's where the catch part comes from.
I posted it in 19 Carter. I took my card and posted it.
Thank you. And actually, the WRTA director who wrote or administrator who wrote the grant will be coming to the select board meeting on March 10th to provide some information as well. Okay. That I think is pretty much it. So let me just see. Oh, we talked about unemployment in chapter 32B, health insurance and dental insurance reductions. So overall, my recommended budget decreases the town's requests by $102,666. So the increase would go from the original budget requests of $346,361 down to $243,695. Which, if you look at the fact that the town is about 50% of the budget, a little bit less. And I'm estimating new funds for FY 26 to be at about 577,913. Half of that would be 288,000, and we're at 244. So we are less than half. Which I think is a result of really, like I said, sorry to keep saying razor thin scaling back, but that's what we did. So
Most of the increases right there in Worcester County and Chapel.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, if you look
it that
at
way, quick.
82,000 in Worcester Regional and 70,000 in health insurance, that is the bulk of the increases. And then we do, as you know, have a
Contractual.
major reset for the police contracts. And it's a really interesting thing because Mary and I actually had a brief conversation today about perception on the size of the town and versus what our actual call volume is. Neshoba Dispatch just did a little study because the way that our dispatch district works is all of the towns that participate split the assessment evenly right now. As such, they all get an equal person and one vote on the admin board, which is the governing body. So one of the members said, hey, I want to know if we do it by population, call volume, or a split of the two, where do we fall? Because Hudson is going to be joining the district as a provisional member effective July 1. And there was discussion because Hudson is 20,000 people. They have a call volume, however, very similar to Lunenburg, which is in the district already, which is paying the same as everybody. But it sparked that conversation. And there are a lot of districts that don't do it evenly. They don't tie it to governance. And one of the reasons Hudson did go with us, they were looking at Holbrook as well. And it made obviously more financial sense, and they would have an equal vote in the process. So basically, this is the really interesting thing for Berlin. So when we did this analysis, the split for everybody for FY 26 came out to 216,000 per community if you split it all evenly between the current 7 towns that are in the district. If you go by population, Berlin would pay $85,000. If you go by call volume, Berlin would pay $209,000. So let's not let our size necessarily dictate where we are in terms of workload and call volume, because you have to remember we have 495, we have 2 malls, we have the River Bridge development. You also have people getting off 495 and routing through town and unfortunately driving as fast as they would be driving on 495. The police chief was just at the select board meeting earlier this month, and his calls for January were over 1,000 calls for the month. So size is not necessarily indicative of workload is what I'm getting at. And it was kind of an eye opener for me, and Mary agreed. So I thought I would share with you all.
I just wanted to get the numbers. You said even split, it's 216.
Was 216. It's a little lower now because state 911 has kicked in some additional money. But when we did the analysis, the even split was 216.
Okay. If you did it by population,
Berlin would be 85K.
it'd be 85K. And when you go by
Call
usage,
volume, it's 209.
To me, you'd have to go more with call volume to make it
I mean,
fair.
I think so.
Looking at it that
And
way.
some dispatch districts do a 50-50 split because they recognize that population isn't totally accurate. So call volume doesn't reflect population, et cetera. So they do it reflective on a 50-50 population.
Towns
split.
that we're in right now, there's 7.
All right, ready? Can I do them all?
Yeah, just
Lunenburg, Harvard,
just a moment.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, please slow me down. I tend to talk fast. Lunenburg, Harvard, us, Bolton, Lancaster, Boxborough,
Devon's.
thank you, and Devon's.
Now, have some,
What's that?
do some of these towns choose to do this? Like I just happen to know that Hudson has a very high turnover of dispatchers.
It's a huge reason why
Is-
people are
is it a reason they
consolidating
do
into
it?
districts. Yep, also you get state 911 money. So with Hudson joining the dispatch district, not only did it keep our rates from going up, but we're going down $10,000 in FY26 now per community. So I believe our assessment is now at 205 and change, just under 206. So state 911 will step in with money. They're encouraging regionalization. They don't want individual cities and towns, and it doesn't make sense for us all to compete for dispatchers and try to find them, individually, because they're struggling. Like you said, there's a real problem. And that was, I think, the motivating factor for Hudson in going out and looking for a district to join. And I have to say that under the current leadership for the district, they have done a phenomenal job. Ann Camaro, who's the director, is awesome. And it's the best word I can use to describe her, both from a financial, personnel, she's just great to work with. And she has really turned that place into a preeminent dispatch district that's a model for other districts in the state. And people are coming to us now. Marlboro wants to join.
And it's actually located in Devon's.
Right now, it's physically located in Devon's. But Marlboro is interested in joining. That's obviously a much bigger discussion that has to happen. But if Marlboro were to join, they are building a new station in Marlboro.
Dispatch station.
Yes, fire and dispatch. So that would be very beneficial, obviously, for us, but not only us, the district, the Devons, they have outgrown their space in Devons. And they're having a number of issues with the building there. And they would really like to have their own space. They're sharing it with, I don't know if it's Department of Fire Services or if it's Devon's Fire, but something fire. And they literally are really maxed out on space right now. And their lease requires them to do some capital upgrades to the building, even though they're a lessee, and it's very costly. It's not the best deal. So looking at other options for locations is something that Ann's been interested in doing for a long time.
Yep.
Love to put her over here when we take the old fire station rescue building down, but I can only dream so much.
Say, Kristen, I'm looking at the numbers here under the two schools. They're the same for fiscal 25, fiscal 26. Is that? You just
No,
didn't get
I'm
to-
sorry. When we get down to the bottom, ignore the titles.
Can we go to the governmental?
Yes.
Ignore the titles. Okay.
The budget, the budget requests here are the FY26 budget requests. Let me put that in there so that's more
okay,
clear.
okay.
And then this is going to be I just moved it in that column because I hid some columns and then it got all messed up. FY26.
And everything gets hidden.
Everything got hidden. Yeah, you can't hide columns and then put text in there. It doesn't work. It hides it.
So it could be in there a couple of times.
It
somewhere.
might be in there multiple times, but yes, let me go back to
Understood.
intergovernmental for you. And I did highlight the Berlin Memorial Capital because that is coming down, as we know, as we have further discussions about a 10-year plan that the schools are working on and what we can, afford year over year and space that out. But right now, the only number I have is the 1.395. Just so you know, I did offset that in revenue by 300,000 because I kept the free cash level funded from what we put in last year. So right now that is slightly offset at this time on the revenue side.
So looking just the operating, so obviously going with the, assumption of the 2.5% plus the new growth and all that type of stuff. I mean, with the quick numbers you have here, right now, if the town recommended was 243,695 increase, that leaves a total of 334,218 that's split between Berlin Boylston and Assabet. I don't think there's any other numbers in there.
That's it.
Then you break that particular stuff down. I mean, we already got the assessment of Assabet is 163.
And that is final.
Right, and we know we can't go below it because we're at the state mandated, or their whole budget is at the state mandated minimum level contribution. So you're at 334. 334.
I just hit the supplemental, which I think makes it a little easier.
163,
I don't think anyone's gonna.
so you're at. So now you're down to 171,200. We know that, I mean, the debt is going up no matter what. By,
Weird some years, but yeah.
what was it, 73? What's the difference?
So the debt is going from
Holy-
459, 935 to 533.
74,000 or less than.
Oh, yeah,
73,000.
sorry, I took out the, I can fix that.
All right, I'm just gonna go with 73K. Now you're down to 98.2K.
Nope, that's not right.
So basically going by the quick analysis using 2.5% increase in the levy plus the new growth or new, basically what's new funds based on 2.5%. You basically, after you cover the Assabet assessment, the total debt repayment, not even consider capital at this time, to try to focus on free cash, and you are basically down to the Tohoto assessment and Berlin assessment. With that number, you're down to $98,000. Just from using a 2.5%.
That is true. So we're still running that deficit, obviously, and using all of the free cash.
Correct.
Which,
So-
if you go back to the summary page,
So go back, you have to go back to that one.
wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Somehow we have $12 million. That got messed up. Let me fix this. Yes, I know what I did. I just messed this up by adding it in the total.
So, I mean, obviously we had our
Shouldn't add
joint
anything
meeting
after
with the
9.
select board on Monday. The suggestion of 2.5% would leave again, not looking at capital, you are looking at, what is it, 1 point, what is the, I think I have the numbers.
You want me to
Literally.
calculate something or?
Envelope here, but
I don't know.
I think they're
I don't know. We
right-
can't
right
see that
when-
envelope, Scott.
I know, nobody can see that envelope.
He comes in with an envelope every week.
know.
It's like the same.
Literally writing on a back of an envelope. I mean, this is, I like it.
This is, I
Old
do things
I do.
whenever I've got free time.
I like it.
That they
No,
happen.
I see.
So you don't even want to know where this envelope's been either.
I do not.
That's even better.
Takes it everywhere with him.
And I don't want to touch it.
I was just thinking that, too. Don't pass it around.
I don't know, we
So-
want to see his figures.
So that would
It's
be.
a different
um,
question.
So
We do
the
not have
assessments
12
are
million.
right now, I mean, the latest budget
Stop helping Chris.
are 1 million combined between Tohoto and BMS operating assessment is an increase of 1,186,172. And using a 2.5% number, you've got a full contribution of 98,000 to that.
That's where we are sitting right now with available.
That would right be if you use it.
Mhm.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
I mean-
you're pointing out the difference between the proposal of 1.2 million and the available funds of 98,000. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Scott?
that's right.
Just to be
Using-
clear.
Correct. Using
Okay.
a 2.5%.
So
So
what
the
would it be-
98,000 uses a 2.5% tax increase for the residents of Berlin. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it uses 2.5% increase of the levy.
Of the levy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're just looking at operating, you're talking about just looking at the Berlin Memorial
We're not-
assessment
We're
line?
not talking about any money going towards capital other than using free cash. I mean,
What about the
Right.
debt repayment?
I subtracted out the debt repayment.
Okay.
That's not negotiable.
So this is straight
Um,
operating, Scott.
I subtracted out the asset assessment, which
Okay.
yes, asset assessment includes all three columns again.
Mhm.
Because again, they're at the minimum local contribution. They cannot make their budget any lower without, I mean, that's why we had to pay the $123, right? I mean, because it was a state mandated thing that the calculations came in, we were slightly below minimum local contribution. So I mean, after obviously the discussion with the select board, I mean, the suggestion of 2.5% is
It's a foregone conclusion?
I mean, right. I
It's
mean,
not gonna happen.
Not, well, I mean, there's reality and then there's, anybody else want comments or any suggestions?
Well, actually, you lost me. I can't do verbal math like that.
Okay,
I need,
You need
and
to
I'm not
see it.
asking you to redo what you do, but I'm just telling you, my learning style does not function on a verbal analysis of finance.
No,
I
that's
need
why
to see it written
I
out.
was gonna try to see if I could put it in the spreadsheet, because I'm a visual person too, but then
you can put it in the spreadsheet, go back to your, we have the numbers, I wrote them down.
All right.
Go down to your
I
bottom.
will confess my
Go to a
weakness
scratch-
right out there
go to a
publicly.
Scratch pad down there.
little area down
And
here. Okay,
start with the
Really?
527.
All right. where do you want me to do it? We'll do it over
Your
here.
Starting point, right?
Is this your summary page, Kristen? Okay, is that what we're looking at?
I looked at my FY 26 expenditure tab.
Okay,
So
well,
let's start here.
I've got the minutes up. I'm not looking at that tab.
So that's the new revenue using a 2.5% levy increase. Again,
And plus new growth.
right, new growth, right, it's what's available. If you then subtract 243,695. And right now, just using numbers of hours for the the numbers as the town shows at the moment. Right. Rick,
So
you had
this
up with
is
three-
the revenue left after town increase of 243,695, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Then.
Got you.
You then go into,
hold on, I just got,
Thanks.
I'm neurotic. I apologize. I have to put it in.
Thank
the
you.
ex- Thank,
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
Bless your
Oh,
heart.
I'm glad I'm not the only neurotic one then. Thank you. Make me feel a little better. We don't need 2 decimal
I need to
places,
know
though.
if it's a year or
I didn't do the
Dollars.
exact dollar amount, but then after that, subtract. The asset assessment, I just went 163K, I didn't put it down to a precise, oh, there you go, oh, I rounded wrong.
Nope,
June would be so,
I just messed that up.
oh,
That's not you.
oh, is that 163,965?
It's close. I hit equals instead of minus.
No, but it's 163,965.
Now put the verbiage in the
Yes.
column on the left.
Yeah,
there
Mhm.
below me.
Revenue left after Assabet increase of 163,965.
Okay.
See, I can speak numbers and words sometimes.
Then-
This is a stretch at 9:40, but I'm doing it.
Now to the revenue left after Tohoto debt increase of 73 something.
That is 73,535. Because right, that's an obligation. We have to pay that. Did
Mhm.
I just say 535?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. Take all the help I can get here.
And as we're doing this, Kristen, just that 73,000 is both of the payments, huh? Not one.
That is both
All of the
principal and
payments.
both interest payments. Yes.
Thank you.
And
All of the
and my
payments.
rounding error there of 98,000 from that is basically I did 163 instead of 164, which is basically.
Pretty darn close for doing it all on a envelope and in his head.
I did a town meeting to the dollar. I don't know how that happened. So,
This is actually
Yeah.
really great because I didn't get this far and Al and I were actually having a conversation about this today about like, where are you at with like the number that's left over? So you actually just did a lot of work for me. So thank you very much.
So
Now, that's where
that's the wrap up math right there.
Yeah.
From where we sit with the town
Then-
obligations.
then when, anybody else have any other questions or comments?
I just want to thank you for putting it on the screen in writing.
Mhm.
Does it make sense?
It does make sense that way now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm just tired. I don't know where I just went, but.
I got a bizarre second wind for a moment there. Otherwise I would not have been able to do that.
You know-
Back to the revenue number,
I-
where you increased, or what the exact number was.
By the way, will that little
Increase level.
summary thing
That's
we
this right
just,
here.
that was just developed, will that be on the Google Drive?
Are you gonna
No,
save
that's
it?
on mine, but I will save it.
It's
to
gonna
the
be on the
Google Drive.
test, okay?
Well, that's what he
It's
wants to know. Is it
just-
gonna be on the cheat
I
sheet?
want to know where it's going to be so I can look at it.
The top revenue number where the 2.5, how much was? the
Oh, on the
2.5?
summary sheet?
I want the dollar amount, well, what 2.5% increase was. It's like
377, 913.
Okay, so go down, put that number down there. 377.
Do you want it on this sheet?
Just go put down where our other numbers are.
Oh, you want it?
377, 19019,
913.
oh, 913. So
Okay.
every, you put the, this.
Oh, yeah, the word.
You bet,
I'm
Wes,
just gonna
please.
use the, I don't know if you want, however. Every 2.5% or every 2.5 point increase. In that levy results in additional revenue or available of almost 378,000. So
Correct.
basically saying that.
So a
if you-
5%
if you went to a
increase.
So you're doing
5%,
increments of 2.5%,
Right,
is that
or-
what you're talking
right.
about?
You
Yeah,
could,
exactly.
or
Just
Or
for
1%
conversation
or
purposes,
whatever.
okay.
I mean, we could just put it in there for 1% or
Yeah.
0.5%.
Well,
Well,
2.5 is fine.
just for the sake of
Yeah.
argument.
Right. So I mean, there you would have, you'd have 378,000
It's bad
added to
time.
97,000. So
You're right.
you'd be, with a 5% increase, you have available to the schools. What is that, 475,000?
So okay, so actually,
Not counting that, not counting, well, if I'm going on without that, but when I say Berlin, what, and the school in Berlin, Wales.
setting this up so I can play with this formula.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that 755, 826 number looks like what is new additional revenue with the 5%. Yeah,
Additional revenue.
yeah.
So you just added to the 2.5% plus new growth. You added additional funding in there. It's not, because it's no longer the 2.5%
Oh,
growth.
Yeah,
right, but you wanted to see what it would be if we went to 5%.
Well, yeah, 5% is the 2.5%. So this, right.
5% is
This already
750.
had 2.5%.
No, I took it out. That
Oh.
see my formula? Sorry, I was too quick. What I did was I made it so we can mess around with it. I put in the new
Oh.
growth of 200,000 and then we can add in whichever amount. we want
Oh,
over
okay,
here.
that was using the 5% number, even though, right, the description over here.
oh,
Okay,
thank you.
yeah, you can basically figure out how to do that.
So this is now,
5%.
Yep.
There we go. Okay.
thank you.
With,
I didn't
with
change the words.
5%, which is close to what it was last year of the levy increase. Your Tohoto or the Berlin Boylston School District to operating would have 474,630.
operating revenue is. We're not talking capital.
Correct, and not talking that, we've already covered that. And, yeah, not going capital. And what's the percentage increase if you match what they're asking for right now? So their increase.
You're gonna have to tell me how to do
Their
that.
operating is 1,186,172.
Okay,
So,
Gotta be at least double that.
I have my
Well,
momentary and it's gone,
yes,
so you're gonna have
right,
to help
so
me
it-
here.
we'll just
Double
double that
that.
number, so take
So it's
the,
pretty much what, 10%?
10%?
10%,
but 10%, you still don't match it.
but do the 10%
Yeah, let's see
increase.
what the 10.
Let's see what that looks like.
as.
Oh, and then put it over here, yeah, yeah.
And what number are we trying to get to?
Well, I just want to see what, if, based on what their number is, what the increase, where it is today, or at, I shouldn't say today, as of February 12th, when they were in here.
Again, it's just estimate.
Yeah, these are just,
Thank you. They're always my good estimate caveat person, that's good. No, I don't want that back. There we go. I put it in color, I remember.
so that would.
Yeah.
But 10% just. And that would just cover, you got excess by about. What is their number, 1 million, or they're combined, I had 1,186,000. You may want to just bring those two.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let me do, okay, so we're gonna do.
Add up those.
BMS operating and Tohoto operating, no, I
Yeah.
can't spell Tohoto. Let me try that again.
Actually, don't go on separate line, just combine them together and just do a plus.
Because they're
EDR.
Yeah.
C operating
There you go.
equals. No, don't do that to me. There's a lot of talking that goes on when I do numbers in my office, so don't mind me, it's happening right now. Live and in person.
You need the CT,
This one. Oh, no, I need the increase.
yeah, you need the increase, so you need CT 186
Yep,
and CT 184.
got it.
1,186,172.
So you'd go what, 7?
And that's just the operating increase.
Yeah, that's
Can you
not
put
enough.
the increase after the word operating, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
I clarify it's just for Berlin, because,
Yes.
you know.
No, that's good.
We asked that question.
It's our portion.
So if you did a 7.5% increase, it would probably bring it just about.
Well,
Yeah, it'd be, this one is almost just about, only off by what?
400,000.
44,000. It'd be, if you
So maybe
match
try
it
that.
exactly, you're probably around. What?
Try the 7.5 as
Divided into
Jim
370.
said.
I'm thinking, well, I was just thinking that way they could add the two
oh,
together and it
aren't
would
you
come out to
smart?
just about.
Good call.
That's the extent of my brain work.
Your brain is working.
It's awesome. Love that brain.
Hey, listen, this is a collective brain exercise. Equals that
Trying to extract.
times 3, is that right?
There you go.
So it's almost, so it's a
Almost.
little bit more.
Not quite 8.
Just about 8.
So 7.75 maybe.
No, it's gonna be much higher than that. Copy that into the new growth using 7.5%. That's what they would have, 852,000.
Right, because you have to subtract
Oh,
everybody
I see.
else.
So
I see
you're
what you're
very
saying,
close,
okay.
you're much closer to 9.5 probably,
Yeah,
so you're very close to 10%.
yep, you're right.
Now. What is, so that's like so how much of an additional increase, so that's, what's the levy? I mean, the levy,
The limit,
limit, no, not the, well, the excess levy number.
excess levy.
1,247,675.
Hang on, he's writing it down.
1.2.
Hold. Okay, now you can move.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jonathan.
So that number
Put that in your
is
footnote
over
below.
the excess levy capacity because we've already taken out the first 2.5%.
So go over to your, yep. So it's just under, or is it just over? It would just,
They're higher, it would, they're not in that, well, excess levy capacity that would fund them.
so it's just under.
I think that number.
Am I doing it wrong? Oh, no, it's gotta be up here.
10% increase is 1.5 million, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we have the three, that includes the first, and then we still have the.
Plus the new
extra
growth.
1.2. And that's not, we're not even talking down.
No,
So they're just under, which would take,
But that's to
Almost.
the max.
that is taking it to the max, which means the next year, well, the whole.
And
count.
that would mean that we would have to be almost exact on our local receipts because there is no give there.
Yeah, I was gonna show you guys local receipts. I picked up $1,000 so far. Because motor vehicle excise went down. I mean, still estimates right now, but I'm not picking up much on local receipts at all. So that's not going to be a help.
by using up, excess levy capacity this year, what effect does that have on next year? I never really understood that.
Oh.
All you-
Well,
Oh, go ahead, I'll
yeah, well, we first of all, like I said, there's no gap. I mean, you're estimating numbers, right? So whatever, hopefully you're underestimating, and whatever you go over a little bit on those things, you can use a little bit
Might
less
have-
levy, which.
You've
but-
also got to understand too, is that you're gonna lose levy capacity because our debt for our highway barn is going down, so that means
correct.
you're losing that too.
Oh, you're
But I
losing
think
to
what
the
you're
debt exclusion
asking
bit
is,
of it.
what does excess levy mean?
Don't
Yes.
ask that question. It's
No,
almost
no,
never-
I've got a book on that.
Oh, okay.
And I've read that.
It's pretty much
and I
to
still
It's
don't
not-
understand a word of
It's
it.
not $1.2 million sitting in a bank. I
Yeah.
think it's because we don't tax to the max,
Right.
as I like
Right,
to call
but
it.
if
I
we
guess
were,
what I want to, I guess what I'm asking a simple question, maybe there's no simple answer. By using up excess capacity, levy capacity this year, let's say we use it all.
Taxpayers get charged.
What effect does that have next year?
you only have 2.5% plus any new growth.
Okay,
Correct.
now I understand.
Or you go to override.
Right.
Got it.
Excess,
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
basically, the
Okay,
general
thank you.
piece is the
That was much.
excess levy is you can get into excess levy without having to go through the paper ballot.
Got it.
So override is a two-step process. Excess levy just requires town meeting.
But also now
approval.
you have to look at what would the estimated tax bill be for the average person.
I was just gonna say,
Well,
but
that's the
That's
next
huge.
part of that.
That's huge.
Right,
Right.
well, you could, again, using that same estimated number, I mean, assuming it's 5% last year, it would be taking whatever your increase is last year and doubling that increase. There, people are already complaining about the increases.
right.
I mean,
Well,
the year
at
before,
2 years
it's-
running,
And can you
Scott,
imagine a
Right,
10%?
exactly.
2 years
It
running.
was 1,000.
this is
2 years
third.
ago, we went up another 1,000, you'd be looking to go up another 2,000.
Yeah.
If that was your number or whatever your number is. Actually is slightly higher than that.
But again, it's all based on estimates,
Yes, it's all
It's
in.
all estimates
Like the closest thing that. you can-
at this point in time.
That's,
Yeah.
grasp.
Sorry. I was thinking I could do something, but I can't right now. Yeah. I don't wanna mess it up.
That was a really good exercise. I'm glad we put
Thank you.
Scott's thoughts on the board. So I
Took 'em
could,
off the envelope.
so I could understand them.
Yeah. Well, no, and thank you for helping with numbers on the fly, because sometimes yeah. I like to go over numbers multiple times before I present them to anybody, so the collective brain was very.
Just make sure
very
you don't
helpful.
say this over your original, just in case.
Are we on fire?
Oh, I haven't changed anything up there, only down here,
Okay,
just in the notes section.
okay.
Well, I mean, this is truly a working session to look at,
Yeah,
the draft roll up of where we sit, and it's not a pretty picture.
No, not at all.
There's one thing I do want to get off my chest from Monday night that bothered me because I thought it was, there was, I think, miscommunication. You sent this out and I thought I had seen it before,
oh,
but there was the miscommunication or what was misstated there about the two bonds at Tohoto. And the numbers on the bonds are pretty, I mean, not exactly those that same amount, they're almost pretty much exactly the same amount each year. There was a description, I think Scott was going on, that they keep increasing, and that's not true.
is it the interest payment then? that
Well,
goes
I
up
think
slightly?
if somebody's looking at because the interest and principal bounced around, but the total amount, so just to give you an idea, if you go back to 219, and these are, I'm just gonna round off to
Yeah,
so it's 269K, 268, 271, 273, 270, 271, 272, even the roundings off there. 273, 273, 272. I mean, basically you can see
It's
there's a
not bouncing
very
around.
small amount. And that's the big one. Well, actually, no, that is the small one. And then if you take the big one, they're all a million, 1,270,000, 1,271,000, 1,270,000, 1,272,000, 1,272,000, 1,270,000. I mean, they're not.
No, they're stable.
Yes, they are pretty much very stable.
Those
I
are
just wanted
stable
to
payments.
clarify that. And if anything, maybe you can take that to the select board on next meeting
okay,
to clarify that, because I think there's some confusion. That's the total bond, right? Then when we do have the split, that's, I think, a multi-year averaging that's taken in for what our share is. Our share will move around. And I don't think that was reflected well, at least in the select board meeting, that yes, our share may be going up. It's not because you're not, basically Scott was looking at, our budget, warrant, what's going on there, our share of it, not seeing what the actual bond numbers were.
I see what's going on though, and I think it has to do with those interest payments that were not reflected. It does make it look like, if you look at what we paid in FY 24, it was 442,752. In FY 25, it was 459,935. And then now for FY 26, it's 533,470. It looks that way.
When I looked at the schedules, I saw that weird thing up, down,
Yeah.
and I assumed that's what it was, that it was the missing interest bit.
I think you're absolutely right,
And
Scott.
so we ended up having to make up for it. We, the district, made up for it.
I don't think we made up for it. I think it just looks funny because it
it
wasn't the
went
correct
down.
amount those 2 years. So it made it look like it was going up.
Right. I just wanted to
Significantly.
just clarify that, at least for the select board, the
Yeah.
next meeting, you can, I
Yeah.
made up printouts and
Thank you.
I don't need them.
Thank you for doing that.
Copy.
That was important information.
That was just something that
No.
bothered me after the meeting, and thanks for your email to clarify that.
It is, and, let me just look at this. I looked at. Let me find the part about the debt service. I was looking at the allocation, Scott, under the regional agreement. I'm thinking about some of that, so operating.
But it was just like comments about, this is how
Yeah,
people,
'cause
they
it's about the
they
state
borrow
airport.
in different ways. It's like, it's not, I just wanted to, make that clear.
It typically goes
Down.
down because like you saw our debt our debt interest for the highway
Yes, I
department
mean,
was down
this-
5,700 between.
Yeah, it typically has a slight, but I mean, this is, it's almost
So
level.
We're paying more interest at the beginning and it goes down. But here, we're originally paying the debt and it's going up.
So we're paying
So-
more of the debt later on, but less of the interest.
that's what that looks like.
Well,
right?
that would be like your mortgage works, right? I mean, it's like if you look at the first year.
Yeah, the
Of
interest
a
part,
30-year
the principal
mortgage, if
becomes
you
a
look at
higher-
if you look how much
Yeah.
you're putting the principal and interest, I mean, interest,
Right.
you're hardly gaining any equity in your home from the first 5 years of
I think,
Right.
yeah, the mortgage pays like $195 a month of that principal and the rest
Yeah.
of it goes to interest. Yeah.
yes, and then when you go
Got it.
'Cause this one
later
has
on,
the
you're paying
same-
almost no
'Cause
interest.
You've got principal.
I
Goes
found it
up.
here. It's under section D of the
Okay.
regional agreement on page 6. So
It goes
payment
down.
of interest on
It would-
bonds and debt is considered capital cost under the agreement. So the capital cost apportioned for grades 6 to 12, which is fundamentally
Yes.
Tohoto. So you take the town's
Usually like with
Tohoto
these
enrollment
books,
percentage, and then you go get the
versus this one
Massachusetts
isn't.
Foundation
It's
enrollment
pretty much
percentage
just-
by town.
Yeah.
Then you average them,
Which I guess is.
and then you
easier.
go back, you look back 3 years.
It's a 3-year rolling.
And then you do the
average.
running
Yeah.
average. So we're taking a percent of a percent, which is
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
Not, but there it is. And so enrollment over the past fiscal year and then the previous 3 years is going to impact year to year, the apportionment of the principal and interest payment to the towns.
Right.
So it's going to move every
Yes.
year.
Exactly, but that's why I wanted to clarify that. A part of it was, what he was looking at was not the right thing to be looking at, because looking at our budget thing at the town meeting is, and then you have what the actual bond is.
Okay.
All right, that was just what I did, okay. We could go back to anything else on this, is there any more?
No, I mean.
10 o'clock.
We did have the select board, or the select board rather, did approve or their recommendations on a few line items on Monday night. Some of the relatively straightforward ones. And they'll do some more on the 10th. I asked them specifically not to vote on health insurance yet. And that was a bit of a debate, as I mentioned before, on whether we save spots or not. But yeah, they took a vote on those line items that have dates next to them. And they voted the TA numbers, which I think in almost all cases are the same as the department recommended numbers, except for the unemployment insurance. They voted the $20,000. So you don't have to take corresponding votes tonight. I realize it's 10 o'clock, but I just wanted to let you know they've started at least taking some of their votes.
Can we pick it up next week when we're a little fresher?
I was gonna say, anybody
Yeah.
really wanna stay around? I mean,
We have gone to 11 before,
no.
but I did get a little crazy with the pointer. That's when it got taken away.
Heidi's
from me.
fresh to this committee. Let's not do that.
Not
to her.
to scare me away from her.
No, don't torture her. Scott, one more time, what was the total proposed increase
Hold on.
that came from BBRSD?
Let me go back.
It was one
Total,
point
1,000,000,
This one?
186, 172 operating,
operating, just operating, yeah.
just operating. like,
Is that up here? Am I looking at it?
It is.
Yes, right here.
Yeah.
1,186,172, okay.
I mean, that's what they're, as of 2/12.
Right.
This is that version 2 budget that we're talking about here. Yeah, okay. And then as we see revenue right now, and then sort of critical town and Assabet expenses, we're looking at a thumbnail of 10%.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of do the calculation.
I can put this,
I think they were like 44,000 short. If you take,
oh, sorry.
if you take the 377, 913 divided by 44,000. You get,
Divided by 44.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, I went in the percent column, so it made it goofy.
and like, see, I think.
Right.
Here,
$8.59.
you're, yeah.
No.
Uh,
what's it? Sorry, that's not right either.
Gosh, I thought
I've now
that-
lost my ability to do math on the fly officially, apparently.
That looked like a good number.
I like eight.
This is one we might want to hold for next week. too.
Yeah. Sorry.
Because it's kind of critical. Stop touching. It's the number people in the public really hear, but it's still.
Oh, and you're not sharing, just so you know. At this point.
I was gonna. put this on my
Yeah.
Google Drive So
We'll leave
that
it
everyone
for-
can.
Yeah,
Let's leave it for
That's the
another
other
day.
thing is.
This is
They
helpful.
should try to figure out how much taxes.
Did-
It would actually involve.
I stopped sharing on purpose,
Okay.
but thank you for letting
Thanks,
me know.
Roger.
All right.
Yeah.
You're the best.
So just a question. I'm having a happy thought, which is useful right now. Do we have any indication of when the district might be able, might have together the fiscal 2024 excess and
E&D?
efficiency, E&D,
I have not asked.
Oh, they should have that,
for
now.
fiscal 24?
Oh, for 20.
Well, 20, it's not gonna be available for 25. We're in the middle of.
Right,
25.
right.
Yeah, I
So
think
the last completed year is fiscal 24.
that
We got it for ASVA.
they
Oh, is that what I'm
should
thinking
have, they had indicated that you should have to have that done by September, or October, because that was a discussion we had last year. So
Right,
they should have that number.
but it's also been a bizarre year. Sorry?
Is there a delay?
Well, there could be a delay. Is it possible the delay is still?
Writing about it, but it was late, but
I think there's problems with closing out. and I don't
Yeah.
know if they've been resolved,
Yeah.
so.
Well, we're still closing
Yeah.
out, so yeah. I get
Well,
it.
that's right. I'm very sympathetic and on that front to circumstances that they've been dealing with.
Sure.
But it would be great if we could get it when it's available, because
Actually, I think we get notified,
do we? Okay,
yeah. Usually,
because it might be good news for us and it might not, but
All right.
be nice to know.
And I just uploaded this version that we were working on with all those little notes in the drive.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, you put it out there. You're the best. Okay.
10:07 PM by me, just in case you wanted to meet.
All right, 10:07. How about a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I
All right,
second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.